Constantly shifting through the time-space continuum, Metron's three disciples observe the universe from the Mobius Couch.
Yes, and say that shit with your chest and be your own fucking best friend. Say that shit with your chest, keep moving like, where's the Mobius Couch? A time-space interdimensional vehicle for which your three hosts oversee the world of comic books, comic book movies, manga. We've also done manga. We do all that stuff. Welcome to the couch. Today's lyrical intro is, of course, Yes and by Ariana Grande, January 2024's #1 hit song. That'll make sense in just a second, because today, ladies and gentlemen, we are covering Jonathan Hickman's Ultimate Spider-Man, the run which started in January 2024. Okay.
It was time.
Yeah, no, it would help. Like, it would just help me with my cadence if I knew that it was coming. I agree that it makes sense to do it around here, but
Yeah.
it would just be helpful for me to know.
Well, I mean, just when you say the name of the comic, you know it's coming. That's gonna do this on the fly.
Okay. Let me find my center. 1 second. All right. So your three hosts on the Mobius Couch, because as we know, the Mobius Couch is not a love seat. This is a three-seater. So I'm Alessandro, and joining me as usual are Patrick.
Hey, how's it going? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Woo!
Hey, Patty.
New Year. And
Hey, Joe, how's it going?
Hey, I'm Joe.
Hey, Joe, Happy
Al.
New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It's a new year, boys.
It is a new year. 2025.
This is season 4 of the Mobius Couch?
I guess this is season 4. That kind of blew my mind. I thought we'd been doing this for 2 years.
I thought you were saying tis the season for the
Tis
Mobius
the
Couch.
season.
And I was like, well, it's always the season. Okay.
It's also
but it is
that
season
as well.
4, which is pretty
season 4 of the
terrifying because
Mobius
I think
Couch,
we have like 12 active listeners, so it's kind of depressing that it's our 4th season.
We have like 48.
Don't say the real number is going to be sadder than the joke I just made. So don't say the real number.
It's not the real number. I don't know what the real number is.
Yeah. No, but
It's more than
it is
that.
season 4. It's season 4.
Yeah.
It's 2025. It's going to be a great year. And let's just move into Ultimate Spider-Man because we should do that. We should not focus on the reality.
20 years ago, the Maker prevented a radioactive spider from biting a young Peter Parker.
Yeah. So before we begin, real quick, and actually, I do want to get to that blurb you were just quoting in a second.
Sure.
But before we start, just FYI to everybody, a little background. By background, I just mean like 2 facts. We're talking about 2024's Ultimate Spider-Man, not 2001's Ultimate Spider-Man by BMB. The notorious BMB, Brian Michael Bendis.
Yeah,
which was a big deal, and I think it introduced Miles Morales too eventually, right?
Ultimate at some point, yeah.
So it was a big comic, Ultimate
I
line.
think issue 100, Peter dies. Spoilers for 20 years ago.
Yeah. What happens in Into the Spider-Verse? He dies, right? It's pretty much.
Oh yeah, sure. But I mean, that wasn't. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, sure.
It's kind of crazy though. They killed him off and introduced a whole new character. That was kind of wild.
But it wasn't their main line.
You can do that in the Ultimates.
Your Black Label.
Well, that's what's nice about alternate universes.
Or he can be old and have kids.
Or also I don't know.
Yep. Okay, but so we're not talking about the original Ultimate Spider-Man. We're talking about the new 2024 Ultimate Spider-Man, which was, I think, the first
Which is
title
technically the original Ultimate Spider-Man. Right?
Well, yeah. But it was also the first line in the new Ultimates universe imprints that Marvel
I didn't know it was number 1.
last year. I think it was the first one.
When we talked about jumping on this, I didn't know it was the first.
And I believe it was the first one that came out. As we mentioned, it's Jonathan Hickman, art by Marco Checchetto, fellow Italian, and David Messina as well did a couple of the issues that we're covering, and both Italians. So
okay.
I don't want to go racial on it. Just Italians are great people. All right, but so we're going to cover issues 1 through 6, which is the Married with Children arc.
Yeah, the first trade. It's pretty it's pretty straightforward. I mean, like we were kind of saying before the podcast started, but it's a lot of setup. There's a lot of this is the new world of the Ultimate Universe.
Yep.
But specifically Spider-Man, obviously. But yeah, you want to get into it?
Yeah, well, so first of all, Married with Children, a reference to, is it an 80s show? When did it started in the 80s, right?
80s
Al
I would
Bundy?
say,
Al Peggy Bundy?
yeah,
it must have
80s.
been an 80s originally. But
I mean, I know it was an 80s show, but I don't know if it could have started in 70s. No.
No,
had
it
to
had
be.
definitely,
There's no way.
because I
It had
think
to
it
be.
ended in
It's
the
an 80s
90s, so yeah. Great old Fox Network TV show. I wouldn't recommend going back now to watch it because it's not really prestige TV, but it was a TV show. Yeah.
I was obsessed with Christina Applegate as a kid.
Yeah, I was too, but probably for different
just
reasons. But yeah,
different reasons for sure. Yeah, but obsessed.
she was
with
great.
her.
Okay, but so that's anyway. Married with Children that's an unrelated note. It was also a show back then.
Also, just a phrase, isn't it? Hence
It
the
is,
name
yeah.
TV show.
Yeah.
It's just a turn of phrase.
Well, that's what. But yeah, the TV show got it from that. But then this also probably got it for the TV show. Anyway, none of that matters. But let's talk about Ultimate Spider-Man #1. Let's jump right in. So
Should we
jumping
break
right
down
in,
like
are we?
what should we break down like what the new Ultimate Universe is? Do we care?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's kind of what I was starting with.
So Joe kind of alluded to this when he started reading off 20 years ago, the Maker, blah 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 blah.
The Maker, which is
Reed
Mr.
Richards.
Fantastic. Reed Richards.
Yeah. From the original Ultimate Universe.
The original Ultimate Universe.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make the point that little opening blurb and the whole reason for this comic is everything that's wrong with mainstream comics. I hate this convoluted backstory and multiple universes, and just this is why I don't read comics anymore, is this bullshit that you have to, and when Tony Stark learned the dark history of his universe and the Maker's Council attacked man, I don't care about any of that stuff. None of it's real. This is dumb.
I mean, that's what comics are, Al.
I like
That's
it.
why I don't read them anymore. Like, this stuff is just, I hate all of this. I just don't want any of this in my life. I don't need it in my life anymore. I'm 30. I'm almost 39.
I feel like you're in the wrong place.
I'm almost 39. I don't need these blurbs talking about the Maker's Council in alternate universe 6-9. Like, none of this means anything.
I get your point. I get your point, but I think like 10 years from now, if this Ultimate line kept going and people just kind of forgot about if the Maker were just
impetus of its beginning.
Yeah, it is kind of confusing because it's like, well, it's Reed Richards from a different universe, not the mainstream universe, but he was in the mainstream universe and then he came to this universe and he did all this stuff, and
as an experiment.
It is very convoluted, but at the same time, I really like the Maker. I really like that whole concept of him. Yeah. And I do enjoy, I guess I can get into my overall take, but like, I think I'm enjoying kind of his part in the villains and the councils and stuff more so than like any of the hero stuff in the new Ultimate line. But it is, I like it. I get what your point out, because it is ridiculous, but at the same time, it is comics, and it's like,
yeah, but I just, if I were a modern reader still reading this stuff, the appeal of an Ultimate line to me would be, a simple fresh start. Let's go for it. Except I get a paragraph of bullshit
done that already,
setting up.
Right?
I think that's, even though it was 20 plus years ago, I think that's probably why they were like, we can't just do a reboot. Let's do
I kind of like, that's kind of why I didn't mind it. I kind of liked that part of it. If we were reading Ultimate Spider-Man #1 and he was a kid in high school about to get bit by a spider, I'd be like, boring, and I'd be immediately out. Are you kidding? Like, this is at least an interesting, like, weird take on the character that I'm like, all right, I'm in. I'll see where this goes.
Yeah, but that he's older or more mature doesn't require the Maker to have reset the universe.
Well, I think it's a way. Well, I guess what the whole concept
is a way to like wake up all the superheroes however they want,
however they were. Yeah,
like in the new world.
It's so the Maker is from the Ultimate Universe, went to the mainstream universe and got his ass kicked, and so he found a new universe,
right?
And in the new universe, he prevented as many superheroes from getting their origin story as possible. So he could kind of install his own people to control everything, and he didn't have to deal with the Avengers and the X-Men and all that shit. He kind of gets fucked up by Iron Lad, who's Tony Stark of this universe, and Iron Lad figures out what the Maker did, and he's able to replicate like their origins. Therefore, like Peter Parker got like a spider given.
Yeah,
to
he
him
got
to
the
get
little
hidden.
spider sphere. Yeah, and they all
so it's kind of like Iron Lad is trying to recreate these superheroes, and apparently it doesn't work out a lot of the time. A lot of the times the people die and end up killing people with their powers by accident. But
it happened with, they mentioned it in this, they kind of referenced the Shocker.
Got had a heart attack.
By the way,
who was
to be
that? The Shocker, he got the Shocker stuff.
Because the Shocker's obviously the villain that gets the gloves, but like, who was he talking to originally? Like, whose gloves were those? That's what I didn't understand. I was like, what's going on there?
The original Shocker? I don't know.
Was the original Shocker going to be a hero? Or is Tony recreating villains too? Because
no, I think that was like the Shocker's the guy that stole the gloves. I don't think that was like what that was meant to be.
Well, then I'm not sure who those gloves were supposed, because those were clearly
maybe it's
Shocker
Chase
gloves.
from Runaways.
Could be.
Oh, maybe. I wasn't thinking that. I thought he was just kind of like, it was like a shotgun approach. Like, I'm just going to awaken as many metahumans as possible in the hopes that they.
Oh no, I didn't think that at all. I assumed it was like.
No, I was
heroes.
assuming. Yeah, I assumed what Patrick did, that he was basically just blanket saying all the all the enhanced individuals, good or bad.
I mean, again, my reading of that is different, but it was just an assumption, so it's based on nothing. It was based on the same shit you guys read. So
but I think to Patrick and my point, let's do a thought experiment.
Sure.
Without lower level villains like the Shocker and the role they've had in the history of your heroes, can you really emotionally recreate those heroes in your world? Don't you need?
That's what we're
people like Scorpion and Shocker to push them to reach the heights.
The reality is that there's plenty of fucking villains and they run everything, so I don't think he was worried about that. But
I'm just a full thought experiment. I'm just saying maybe you need a little.
At the same time, though, because he does encounter the Shocker first, and he gets walloped both times. So if he'd gone up against like
an adorable
the first time, yeah,
they were actually. I want to talk about. I laughed a lot at those exchanges,
great.
But yeah. Okay, but let's talk about. We don't have to this backstory again. The only point I wanted to make is that I don't like this backstory.
Before we jump into the issues, what's your overall take?
Oh, mine is. I didn't really care. This was just bland. It was like reading an empty newspaper. I didn't really care for it. That's my overall take.
Empty newspaper.
Yeah, I just this really. I mean, it was fine. Like, and I chuckled at bits, but
I just love the thought of Al just sitting at home with a nice cup of coffee and just like unfolding
and just a no newspaper,
and just be like, feels a lot like Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah.
No, putting it down.
I did like the art.
Blank section? I just got done with the blank section. Did you want the blank section?
It's the best part of the paper. The no news section.
Blank newspaper.
No, but yeah. So I thought it was fine. I did like the art.
Yeah, the art's really good.
It sort of reminded me of like, I don't know how to describe it, but kind of like a more pop Maleev kind of art.
Okay, I saw it as like kind of like a Brian Hitch, but a little less.
Yeah, I kind of see that too. Yeah.
I was thinking
less
Brian Hitch,
a little more fantastical.
Yeah,
and a little more stylization, I guess. But like a lot of the buildings and the backgrounds and stuff. I mean, there's a couple scenes where like there's been a lot of destruction or whatever based on whatever fight's going on, and it's just like a panel from far out, and like, Spider-Man's relatively small or whatever. I'm like, that looks like it could be, Hitch.
Yeah, I can see that, but I thought it was good.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think for a mainstream superhero comic like this, it's a great art style. I thought, Checchetto did a great job. I think it's a good.
He's also got a lot of. Man, my brain is gone today. Coipel. Olivier
Coipel.
Coipel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Olivier Coipel. Yeah.
Actually, now that you mention it, I kind of see that. Now that you bring it up,
a little bit of that in there too.
Like a late stage.
Yeah, later stage. Yeah, later stage.
So no, I enjoyed the art, but like the 6 issues are really more set up for I think what's going to be the ongoing long running comic.
Yeah.
So it's hard to really
For
judge
sure.
it narratively on that. But I
think
don't know. I thought it was fine, but nothing really stood out as exceptional and like something I want to keep reading. It was just meh to me.
Okay. Patty?
I am a little bit on the same page as Al. So I believe Hickman's kind of in charge of or he's got a big hand in the entire Ultimate universe.
I think so.
So I do think these first 6 issues, it's kind of just a lot of exposition groundwork, getting to know this Peter and his family. Not a lot happens, but I do think he has a plan. And I have read to, I think, issue 9, and it does get better and better, in my opinion, as it goes on.
Okay.
There's a few. So I think the big, what was that? Was that me?
Yeah, that was
Did you guys hear that? No?
Yeah.
What was
You're
it?
fine now, but it broke
You're
up
fine
a little
now,
bit.
but it
now I can
definitely
hear you.
like digitally messed with your voice for a second.
Is that a drone or something?
The drones? The aliens are here?
Are you here for me finally? I don't have to go to work on Monday. What was I saying? So I thought it was interesting because Peter kind of has a pretty idyllic life. He's got 2 kids. He's married to Mary Jane. They appear to live in like a really nice condo in New York City. He's a photographer.
I have so many thoughts on their lifestyle and how they could possibly fund it. But
well, it's funny because they seem crazy wealthy, and then they meet Osborne and Gwen Stacy, who are like true 1%ers.
True.
And they're like, they're very wealthy. So it was just interesting. But so Peter's life seems really, he seems to have like a really great life. And in this scenario, he actively chooses to be bitten by the spider to get his powers. And I have to assume, because at this point in time, he has not lost anyone. Like Aunt May has died, but it's not really hitting. It's not that like motivating force that makes him become a hero. So someone's gonna have to die. I think at some point, like at some point in this run, someone's gonna die because he's Spider-Man.
He's gonna lose someone.
He made the choice to become Spider-Man. Therefore, like it's kind of on his shoulder. So I just think there's a lot maybe down the line that's going to be. I think it'll be a very memorable run. But yeah, it's this first 6 issues is just a lot of exposition.
I felt the same way. I think, yeah.
Well, like Mary Jane, I'm like, there's some instances where I really love her character, and then some instances where I'm like, this is not a real human being. Like she's a robot. I don't understand how she's not having a more insane reaction to what's happening. I like that Ben is alive instead of May. It's not like a huge change, but it's
a fun twist though, at least. Yeah.
Well, and I think the most interesting part about Ben being alive is that he's good friends with J. Jonah Jameson. So Jameson's relationship with Peter is a lot different. He's much more like a friend. So
everyone's. I mean, the Green Goblin is a superhero. Like a lot of relationships are completely different. Well, right. So, I mean, who knows what twist? But I mean, for now, he's.
I mean, he's
basically Iron Man.
Yeah. Well, on Green Goblin, I kind of hope they don't make him a true villain. I hope he's always going to be this kind of anti-hero,
like ambiguous
Punisher.
He's going to do something that's going to let Peter down in terms of being a hero, quote unquote.
Right.
But it's going to shift their relationship. But I don't think. But it seems like he'll probably always be like a Punisher-esque hero.
Yes. That's what I'm
not necessarily a villain, unless for some reason like something messes with his mental acuity. Like usually they're a little crazy. Like unless
they've already hinted
something
at
goes
that,
down that realm.
He put his dad as the AI in his suit, so they're already kind of hinting at. It's not like schizophrenia like in the original Green Goblin stuff, but they're kind of already hinting at like different voices involved with.
Wait, is that in this first 6 issues?
Yeah, didn't they mention it?
No, it happens. I mentioned it on the text.
So
it happens later. I think in the 7th issue, because the suit is from. Yeah, there's AI in both Spider-Man suits and his suit, but
my overall I like it. Patrick's, I think. I really enjoyed the art. I'm all for a fresh take on the character. It's fun. It's just fun to read different versions. It's kind of like reading an Elseworlds with like Batman or Superman or something like that. It's just like, oh, Superman Red Sun. Oh, Spider-Man didn't get to be Spider-Man until later in life, and he has kids. Oh, okay. I don't know. I think I'm hesitant in the same way that Al found it maybe disappointing, in the sense of like, oh, this is convoluted and this is like a little much before, like, just out the gate. That being said, overall, I still kind of liked it and I had fun kind of reading it. I'd like to see where it goes. Like, I'm not gonna I might not read past 12 issues or something like that, but like, I'm definitely gonna get another trade to see where it goes, kind of thing. It was fun enough to be like, okay, I kind of like this. The writing was a little Hickman-esque too much, so I'd say, like, some of the banter and like back and forths between characters, I was like, oh god, like, like, kind of, I don't know. It's not bad. It's just one of those things where I'm like, okay, moving along.
Yeah, I mean, it came and went for me. I thought some scenes worked better than others, but also
some scenes were better written than others. But like,
he's also like running.
Mostly the art's good and the writing's good, and that's.
But also, Hickman is running the whole Ultimate line, so if he's not 100% on his game in the individual comic he's writing on, I kind of get that.
I guess, but then don't spread yourself that thin, Like, if
that's not how money works. You got to get those checks. You
gotta get that
basically
check.
What Bendis
how else are you gonna live in that sweet apartment?
He's basically what Bendis was doing 10, 15 years ago. So isn't he just shadow editing Marvel, like basically creatively? Yeah.
All right.
One thing I do hope that they keep going was. In this Ultimate Spider-Man, every issue is a month. Like, a month has gone by, and I would love it if this whole universe, if it runs like kind of in real time, and people actually, like, they actually grow up, and people die and don't come back to life, and like they treat it more like a manga and not like a comic book, where
that would be fun.
I kind of hope they stick with that.
That'd be interesting, and time passes, and they elect conservative leadership into government, which strips them of civil rights over time, and you need to see that happen. That'd be interesting. Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Issue 1, January.
Man.
So I want to start this right off. First of all, Daddy Peter with his beard.
Yeah.
We get Peter Daddy.
Yeah.
Second of all,
I'm saving Daddy for another issue, but yes. Second of all,
well, there's daddies.
There's daddies everywhere
throughout the 6 issues. And if there's one thing about the Mobius Couch, we talk about daddies. We talk about the word daddy, whether it's appropriate or not, whether it's icky or not, and then we talk specifically about whether people are daddies, regardless of how we feel about whether the word is icky or not. That's one thing about the Mobius Couch we're consistent on. Okay. Next, something we've already alluded to. Let's talk about their income. So they're living in a high rise it's across the river from Manhattan. So either Brooklyn or LIC. It's not quite prime Manhattan real estate, but a high rise building. It's at least 3 bedrooms, right?
At least, yeah.
Large. I mean, modern furnishings. That's probably a managed building with a doorman. I mean, it's not cheap. Rent there is not cheap. I don't know if they rent or own, but wherever they live, and
it's
Peter is first of all, you don't find out what Peter does until like 8 issues in. They just reveal, oh, by the way, he's just a photographer anyway. So he's the newspaper photographer. Okay. MJ runs her own mysterious business after having worked at a PR firm. I'm not sure that's enough income. Like, even if, let's say, forget PR firm. If you're working
she even says something along the lines of like, it's mostly new client meetings and irons in the fire. Like, I have like a client. She basically says I have a client. She's like, I'm on retainer with damage control, and then other than that, I'm just like, it's one-offs, and I've got.
Where is the money coming from? If they rent this place, it's at least $6,500K a month, at least, if they rent this place. Where are they getting that money?
Peter makes a lot selling photographs.
As a photographer? No, he doesn't. I mean, his parents did die. Maybe he's a trust fund baby. I don't know. Were his parents wealthy?
That's possible.
They weren't.
He inherited a lot of wealth.
What's Peter's mom's name?
No idea.
Martha?
I have no idea what either.
Is it Mary?
No, it's not Martha.
It's Richard and Mary, right?
Who's Martha?
At any rate,
idea.
Okay.
Well,
I did think it was
the
kind of
children
funny
are named
that he
after his
wasn't,
dad and Aunt May, right?
Well, Aunt May is the daughter's May. So I'm guessing
Oh.
Richard is.
I'm pretty sure Richard's his father.
dad.
Why would
Yeah.
he name the daughter after his aunt and not his mom, and name the son after his dad? What the fuck is Peter doing?
I don't know.
Does his mom not matter?
Also, does MJ not have family? What about
No,
her
she
family
doesn't.
names?
Okay, another thing about MJ. So we talked about Daddy Peter. MJ looks 24 years old.
I mean, she's a
does,
hot-looking lady.
She does look amazing.
So she looks great. I mean, I think she looks amazing, but she looks 24.
I mean, they say his age through addition. You can figure it out, but it's like 10 years ago something, and then 20 years ago, or he was 15 when his parents died.
When you look at this panel of them together,
he's 35. Is the point?
He looks 10 years older than her. He looks 10 years older than her. Period.
I mean, I can speak from experience as an old man with a beard. When you shave it off, like you
look at these
10
panels.
years in age.
Listeners, go on YouTube and look at these two panels. I'm showing. There's a 10-year age gap there, easy.
I mean, yeah, okay.
Another thing I want to mention: their insufferable fucking son looks 15, and she looks like 24.
He's 12 max.
I couldn't figure out how old he was.
I couldn't
figure out how old either of them are.
Well, so May could be anywhere from like 4 to 8, and then he could be anywhere from like 12 to 17 for all I can tell.
I don't know. I have so many questions about their family, the age.
Well, they've been together for like
their lifestyle,
since they were like in high school, because they met in high school, right? So they've been together for like 20 years. He's 35. They are both 35, technically.
She's not 35, unless she's had just amazing work done.
Ultimate Spider-Man met Mary Jane in high school. That's what I'm basing this off.
Anyway, I just wanted to get that off my chest, that I didn't understand anything about their economic dynamics, their age dynamics.
I have a question though. Is this like in theory? Is this like actual Ultimate Spider-Man? Like, is this the Peter that we read about a million years ago?
No. Isn't this a different Earth?
A completely different universe.
It's a different universe,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Different universe. Yeah.
So the Maker went not to his own universe and messed with time. He just went to another universe?
I think he found a new one? Or did he go back in time into his own?
Because this would be, in theory, like canceling out Miles Morales. That's why I'm asking. Well, Miles is in the normal universe now.
No, yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Miles... Yeah, it's a different universe, and I think he went back. I think he tried to reboot his universe, and for whatever reason, like he couldn't do it with the.
Because I didn't read as much as I loved the Ultimate comics back in the day, and Ultimate X-Men, and Spider-Man, and Fantastic Four, and the Ultimates, and all the things that I read back then. Like I never got to the end of the Ultimate Universe. Like I don't actually know how it ended.
Nobody. But here's the thing: the original Ultimate Universe. The individual comics worked great, but I don't think it worked so well as a cohesive universe.
It worked okay. It just wasn't as strong because they didn't have the decades of like, hey, we got to know each other a little bit, and then we separated into our own books for a decade, and then we got to know each other a little bit. Like the interactions as a whole, as a universe, weren't as strong because of the breadth of time that they had, I think, come about. But I never read like Ultimatum and all that stuff towards the end of the Ultimate Universe. Like I never read any of that junk, so I have no idea like how what happened to the universe. I don't know. Like I don't know. I mean, I have vague knowledge of just like superficial, like people tell you about it when you're in the comic shop or something. But like,
all right, boys, we've got to focus. We're still on page 2 of issue 1. We've got to focus. Into it.
I mean,
unless Patrick, if you have answers for the end of the original Ultimate Universe, we can.
I mean, this is setting up a new Ultimate Universe. I think these thought processes and discussion points are useful.
Ultimatum happened where I think Magneto switched the poles and like most people died, and then I think like you didn't hear about them much until Secret Wars, where they took the Maker and Miles Morales, and we're like, we'll take these two. The rest of you are
they kind of picked and chose characters.
Gotcha.
Oh, one comment I want to make also, because of like the Miles Morales thing, really no woke casting to speak of. in this Ultimate Spider-Man. He's
Oh
white.
no, this is
Everyone's white.
straight up. This is straight like normal.
Everyone's white. This is like the
This is normal
anti-SJW
Peter Parker Spider-Man cast of characters from like the 60s.
The 60s, yeah. Everybody's white. This is like anti-SJW casting. Everyone's white.
There's one girl with purple hair in the newsroom, and then also Robbie's.
There's one scene.
Robbie's there. That's about it.
That's really everything else is just white. Whites being white all over. Okay.
Whites being white.
Yeah, they're being white. I mean, hard age.
I do. White. You know what? It was kind of fun watching him yell Parker, and then he goes, "Oh, hey, Peter." How's it going? Yeah. And then he just walks past and he's like, how's it going? And then he walks by and he's like, Parker! I'm like, it's not like it threw me off in a huge amount, but I was just like, oh, that was kind of cute. Adorable little reversal of relationships, sort of like. I do kind of like the J. Jonah is like nice to Peter relationship.
Yes. Well, but I want to touch on that a second, because what I think is interesting is because Ben is Peter's uncle and he never died and he's still there.
Essentially his father, but yeah.
Well, no, but that's the point. Reading the first 6 issues, J. Jonah is almost more of the father figure that he replaced his father with, while Ben is still the uncle. Like, Ben is still avuncular and has advice, and he's part of the family.
Yeah.
But I felt like he almost had a more father-son relationship with J. Jonah.
Ben literally says the words, "We purposefully never tried to replace your parents, and we don't think that was a good thing." But like maybe Jonah did step in on that.
No, I think so, because there's a few, when we get to it, I'll highlight them. But there's a few exchanges he has with Peter that really do feel kind of fatherly.
I agree completely.
And it is a good twist on the original. The original relationship is so adversarial. Like, where are my photos, Parker? And I got to get Spider-Man. So it is kind of funny to see that he's actually almost a father figure to Peter in this.
I like it. Yeah. It's a fun change, to see Jonah. It kind of it actually like made me think of Marvels a lot. Remember, like, and like Jonah as a young man, less lunatic, like, and more like just like, I'm after the news story, I'm a newsman, kind of thing. It kind of reminded me of like. And it's also sort of like, is that what he would be like if Spider-Man wasn't around? He just wouldn't be a lunatic.
He wouldn't be an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so in the first issue, I want to highlight this scene where J. Jonah gives Peter a tie for the memorial.
Yeah.
And that's the scene where you kind of get sort of a
for sure.
Vibe.
Like 100%.
Here, let me tie this for you. Here's the tie, kind of thing. Also, well, I don't know if we want to talk about the Daily Bugle there more, but preacher Matt Murdock, Father Murdock.
Yeah, yes. that was interesting. I mean, he's always been Catholic,
But why would he not be a lawyer in this? If he weren't a superhero, why would he be a priest and not a lawyer?
He was obsessed with Catholicism for whatever reason, but
he wasn't a priest. But what? Like, what's the difference in this world? And
I mean, maybe the fact that he couldn't read law books. Couldn't he read law books by just like scanning his face? I don't know. Like, he must still be blind. No, is he blind still?
He's blind.
Yeah, he's got to be. He had glasses on, but he's just normal blind. He's just normal blind.
Maybe he just took
the path that people would take care of him.
Well, he can't get vengeance on his dad's killers, and he probably just resigned himself to more of a forgiveness type life, maybe.
Well, we don't know that his dad.
I like that idea.
That's true too. We don't know if he was killed or not.
But I guess to Patrick, to your point, it makes sense. Maybe if he didn't from the outset have abilities that would make him able to exact vengeance, maybe he just wouldn't psychologically get in that mode of, I'm going to get extrajudicial vengeance, I'm going to get legal vengeance, I'm all going to be about justice. And instead, he just became more of like, I'm going to have to be more about acceptance and forgiveness because I'm not.
I know he's only like a bit in this because he's like the priest at the memorial service for all the people that died in the attack or whatever. But like, I kind of, it's interesting that, granted, we only see him a tiny bit, but like, it's interesting where he's at based on the fact that Bullseye's around him just being Bullseye. So I was like, oh, interesting. I wonder where that's gonna go. But
what if he's not a priest? What if he is a lawyer but he's just for forgiving?
Well, he calls him
like, I'm going to pretend to be a priest.
I mean, the Catholic Church could always use another lawyer on their payroll. So.
Oh yeah, man, they need those. So they have the memorial service. So May died in the attack. So
May died in
recently.
that fake Stark attack. Not fake, but like the
fake real attack,
Stark
but not
attack.
Wasn't Stark that did it. Yeah.
Which, by the way, later in that Harry memory scene is a great scene when Norman dies in the attack. I thought that was a great scene. We'll get to there later, but we also this is our first shot of Harry at the
So Ben cries, and then Harry says some weird shit at the end of his speech. What does he say?
Well, I like.
Go ahead. Oh,
no, I was just gonna say he brings up a memory of his dad doing catch with his dad. Is it doing catch?
Yeah.
Throwing? I don't know.
Playing catch. I think it's playing.
It's called having a catch. God damn it! What are you
having
doing?
a catch? Let's go have a catch.
Well, he has this tender memory of Norman being this dad who's throwing the ball with him, and then when you get to the later issue, and Norman's like, "That's the dumbest fucking memory, you little child."
Yeah, he's like, "That's a child's
real
memory. You're a man."
Yeah.
He's like, "Are you a child or a man?" And then he says, "That's the memory of a
real
child."
Boy.
I'm a real boy.
But
you're a piece of shit. You're always late.
All right, and then back. So after, and this memorial takes place in the middle of the workday. So then they're back at the Bugle after, and this is where we kind of get like the big narrative push for Ben and J. Jonah, is that a corporation's bought out the Bugle and basically wants to censor them and use them as sort of a mouthpiece. And it's Fisk, right? It's Fisk Enterprises that directly buys it. Yeah.
Is it them buying it, or is it just them like having already owned it? And they're like, we're exerting our control now.
I think it's the latter. I think they already own it and are directly exerting control, right?
Yeah, I think that's what I thought. I could be wrong.
I also think he's probably emboldened because I think he has more control now for some reason.
Well, now because he's been put in place as like the king of New York.
I'm the king of New York. And he's put there by the Makers Council, right? Because I think it's implied that they're behind all of it.
Heavily implied, yeah.
I like Robbie's comment.
So Jonah quits, and then Ben quits also. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. And then Robbie's
I just liked Robbie's comment when Ben's like, what's going on? Why are you doing this? And Robbie's like, I'm a year away from my pension, man.
He's like, I got 2 years left.
I just want this to go. He's like,
I want as few hiccups as humanly possible for the next for the next foreseeable future. So
I just respected his I just need smooth waters for 1 more year, and then I'm out.
I respect the shit out of that. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
He's old. He just wants his pension.
Yeah, but so Ben and J. Jonah quit, and they're going to start their own business. We also
get a scene of Green Goblin,
the Iron Goblin. As he attacks
just Green Goblins, just Green Goblin.
I know, but Harry's basically the Iron Man of this world for now.
Iron Goblin sounds like a cooler name, to be honest, than Green Goblin.
Iron Goblin sounds like
it kind of just reminds me. It's not that far off from the Sam Raimi movies,
Doesn't it sound like a remote-controlled vibrator or something? The Iron.
Now it does. Now that you bring it up, it does. Yeah.
Oh, here it comes.
Why is it flying? Why can't it fly?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of hitch in this. Not the design of it necessarily, but like those little ribs that he puts on the suits and stuff. Do you know that? Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Well, they do go for an original Ultimates run kind of utilitarian look for a lot of these. And here's the Goblin for those of you on YouTube. But yeah, it looks very much like kind of a, I don't know how to describe it, like a SWAT team.
It looks like a looser Iron Man. It's not like a straight up Iron Man suit.
It looks like what people wear to paintball or some shit, right?
Well, so they say
it looks like that armor. It's like paintball armor. But I'm sure it's protective. I'm sure it's like real metal.
I think it's a little more than that.
But I know it's more than that. But
I like I mean, like cutting or jumping to the issue later on. I think it's 5 or whatever when they're talking about the finding the Iron Man suits and stuff like that. And Otto Octavius is like working on the suits with him and stuff. I mean, he even says like this suit's based on like the repulsor technology. It's not like it has like an arc reactor. It's not like it's like full on Iron Man. I guess
Right, yeah.
Like it's like half Iron Man kind of thing. It's not quite an Iron Man suit.
The suits can't fly. They can't figure out how to get the suits to fly by themselves. That's why he has to have that glider flying around.
Right, and then that's based on the repulsor technology or whatever. And then he said, I think he even says like that the suit isn't powered. It's not like powered by an arc reactor or anything. Even though he does tap his like glowing chest circle thing later on and mess with Peter, but anyway.
Okay.
So, blows up. So he attacks Fisk, but they get away somehow. Yeah. It looks like they got Peter, pretty rich.
And then there is a meeting in a bar where J. Jonah and Ben reveal to Peter they're going to start a newspaper, but like F all that. Let's talk about Peter. So while this is going on, we get the sense that Peter isn't, even though his life is just inexplicably wonderful, he can afford homes he shouldn't be able to afford. Has a wife who is a 10 out of 10 and looks 10 years younger than him. He has a somehow 15-year-old son that's insufferable, but his daughter's cute.
His son hasn't done shit. What's wrong with him?
His son's terrible.
His son said like 3 lines in the whole 6 issues.
He's awful.
But he's like, I just like to read. Oh, get out of here, kid.
His son, all right, let me...
He's like, Dad, just be safe. Dad, be careful. Dad, I like to read instead of watch TV. Get out of there. You're the worst kid I've ever read about.
Yeah, who likes to read? All right, whatever. Listeners, if you haven't read this comic, all I'm going to say is the kid goes by Richard. That's all I'm going to say.
What do you want him to go by, Dick?
Didn't say that. Didn't say anything. All I'm saying is he goes by Richard.
Richard.
Okay, that's all we need to know about that child. But let's talk about Peter, because this whole time we get a sense that Peter is, again, even though his life is perfect, there's something missing, right?
Yeah.
There's something he should be doing that doesn't have. And yeah, it's Spider-Man. Which brings me to my main complaint about this comic and this run narratively. The whole point of this is, everything's different. Everything's new. But everything different is new is predicated upon the original Marvel continuity having happened. And none of this stands on its own as an interesting comic to read. Like, even narratively, the reason Peter is Spider-Man isn't because anything in his history drove him to it. It's nothing because anything in his personality drove him to it. It's simply because he was supposed to fucking be Spider-Man, which is asinine and completely uninteresting as an origin story.
Asinine? Why is that asinine?
Because all of this is predicated upon what we already know about existing Spider-Man continuity. None of this can stand on its own as the narrative.
That's why I feel like that's why I asked if it was a regular Ultimate Spider-Man, because like I was like, if you go on that idea, I know it's not, but if you go on that idea, it's like you've read all Ultimate Spider-Man. You don't have to have read all of Spider-Man, is what I'm saying. Like, you just know that there's something missing inside of him, and he knows that something's wrong. Because it was taken from him.
Yeah, but the thing that's missing inside of him is just that he's always been Spider-Man from 1945 until now. That's not interesting in its own merit. It's not a real reason to become a hero. It's just weird multiverse predestination babble that's completely uninteresting from a character standpoint.
Interesting. I don't know.
So I didn't
it's
like
kind
that.
of like
I didn't like
that's
that.
Fine. The time
I didn't
travel
like that
aspect
Iron Lad
of it.
Ex Machina gave him a magic ball that had a spider in it.
I don't mind. I like it. So the idea that the Maker went back in time and stopped all the heroes from happening, but they all have like a missing piece of themselves. I don't mind. That doesn't bother me at all. It's just like, I don't think it's predicated on us understanding who Spider-Man was to a degree. You know what I mean? Like, of course you have like, everyone knows Peter Parker's Spider-Man. Like, that's not news. Like, you don't need like an exhaustive repertoire of Spider-Man comics in your fucking back pocket to like get that something's missing from his life. And that's what
you need it. Like, every single beat of this comic is based on you knowing that Harry was evil as the Green Goblin, that Ben Parker died, all these things that you need to have known. Otherwise, this comic is just completely bland. All of the like readers' joy and surprise and aha and real narrative beats are based on subverting what you already knew. And I think that's a real weakness. This doesn't stand on its own as a comic.
I mean, it's a crazy high concept type thing, but I think you could still have, like, if this was truly original IP and the tagline was this guy who's like 35, 40 has this visitor come to him and say like, "Oh, you're actually supposed to be like this big time hero," and that's the whole premise. Even without knowing, if it was like a totally new character, I think I would still be down for it. But I also like was obsessed with Sailor Moon. I'm always praying that a cat's gonna come out of an alleyway and tell me I was supposed to be a big time hero, and that's never happened yet. So maybe I'm just really like that.
I mean, look, 2025 is that maybe that's the year a black cat tells you you're a magical girl.
One of these drones might fly down and be like, "Yeah, when you transform, you're gonna actually turn to a girl, and it's gonna be amazing." I'm like, "Oh,
it's gonna be really hot. You're gonna wear a little skirt.
Trust me, the way the election went, no one's gonna tell you you're gonna have to be a girl now.
Oh yeah, that's definitely that's definitely not gonna happen.
Yeah. Okay, but that was my big complaint about the run in general, is I just felt so much of this is just based on you having to know what's expected so that this can then subvert it and make you.
But you do know.
Wink, wink, happy that it's been changed.
But you do know. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they're writing to you. Like, you do know. People that pick up this comic aren't going like, I need Spider-Man #1 and need to learn who Spider-Man is. This is Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man #1 for the people that know who fucking Spider-Man is.
Yeah. But, I mean, yes, but I'm not, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that.
I think what you're saying too is also, again, we don't know how far, like how many years this universe might collapse and they might get rid of it in a year. That might last 20 years.
Yeah, no, it'll be about 2 years. Typically, they last 2.5 years. Like New 52,
I think the longer it goes, Well, I think the longer it goes, the more it's going to diverge from the mainstream universe, and it's going to kind of become its own thing. But it's. Like, I'm on the same page as Joe, where if it was literally like, we're just rebooting Spider-Man once again, I'd be like, this is a snooze fest. It's a bit like convoluted to get there, but I like the idea of him becoming Spider-Man at like 35, 40 and seeing where
he's 35, he's not 40.
He's definitely not 40.
He's got to be.
He's not 40.
Richard,
he's not 40.
Maybe
he's 35.
Richard is
he's
just,
35.
Richard threw me off because Richard does seem like he's like 15, 16 years old.
He doesn't.
Okay, but again, Peter's age doesn't matter. If Mary Jane is 24, that's what
Mary Jane isn't 24.
She's
just a really good-looking 35-year-old.
That is, I've never seen a 35-year-old look like that.
This is kind of backtracking.
35-year-old.
Were y'all surprised that Peter is a photographer? Because I thought he'd be like a scientist or something, and I kind of felt like they were trying to make Richard more like the scientist type one, and kind of dumb down Peter a little bit.
I mean, I was surprised because the photographer couldn't afford the home he lives in.
Yeah, that too.
So that's what surprised me. But yeah.
Hey, also, quick question. I mean, both. Ultimate Spider-Man, is this a Sam Raimi web situation? Because they don't talk about web shooters at all.
It has to be part of the suit. I assumed it was part of the suit.
Because he doesn't. You're right. Because he's got the fucking nanotech suit. You're right.
He talks about how he's sticky and how he's stronger, but he doesn't mention the webs as part of that power pack.
That's true. And then isn't 616 the mainstream Spider-Man? He had organic web shooters. And then
they did that like way after the Raimi movies.
He did that when they did that. I think it was called The Other. Was that when they did a story arc where he got more in touch with his spider side? And I think he got
there was a lot of Madam Web in that actually.
Yeah.
I don't really remember. Again, I don't like. I have dipped into Spider-Man so infrequently over the years. Although I tend to like always sort of know what's going on with him, kind of thing. If that makes sense. Like I'm always like kind of paying attention, but I don't necessarily buy the comics and read all of it. But like that was a long time ago, and I don't really, I'm so out of touch now with like what's going on with him currently. I know he was a like they had like a whole. He kind of became like an Iron Man-esque type character.
Yeah, he had like
relatively recently in the years. Yeah.
All right, but the Iron Lad gives him the sphere. It's got the spider in it, and he becomes Spider-Man, and that's the end of issue 1.
So February issue 2. Yeah, go ahead.
I think
Yes?
it was a missed hit with not showing him trying to get the spider to bite him, because I feel like that could have been a really funny beat, because that sounds terrifying.
Like if it like got on him and then it just jumped off.
If
and
it
he's like,
fell off,
"Yeah."
yeah. What if it fell off the building and then he had to go look for it? Yeah, that would have
He
been.
just smushes it and he's like,
Son of
shit!
Shit. And then he's just kind of jamming it on, trying to get it to work.
Oh.
Maybe if I cut my skin and then dribble some of the venom on.
He just eats it. He's like, shit,
Yeah,
whatever.
he's just
I'm
like,
just
fuck it, I'll just eat it.
Yeah.
Take it like an Advil.
Right. But so February issue 2, we're introduced to sort of a kind of an all black, not Venom because he doesn't have the symbol, but just all black.
Yeah, I actually kind of liked that.
I liked it too. I thought his daughter was kind of off base with her criticism. I think black is always a good choice.
You're scary, Daddy.
Yeah, black is always a good choice.
I thought it was cool. I liked it.
I get that maybe it doesn't seem the most heroic costume to just be in all black. I get that part of her. We talked a little bit in our Joss Whedon X-Men how in the early issues Cyclops made it a point that we need to look like heroes and we can't just be in black leather and kind of. So I kind of get that. Just a bug-eyed all black dude swinging through the sky might seem not heroic.
Yeah.
Having said that, I think it's a great look.
Yeah. His learning montage of getting his powers under control was pretty funny. Just like he doesn't know how to stop yet, and he's like smashing into stuff, and he's like, "God damn it, I got to stick that landing," and like stuff like that was pretty fun.
Yeah, when he just slams into a water tower and stuff because he can't figure it out. Another, I don't know what kind of Russian baths Ben and Jonah go to, but you gotta not have layers on. You do saunas naked.
No.
Well, there's a lot of steam in that room, and they definitely could have covered it up.
They do have a lot of towels.
You put the towel on the bench. You put it down on the bench, of course, and then you just sit on the towel, but you're nude in it. That's how you do saunas.
I mean,
this is
plenty of TV shows where people are just in saunas with towels on.
But that's not how you do. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's not how you actually do a sauna. I think we should represent actual sauna etiquette. Otherwise, you're going to have like generations of Americans growing up with this prudish
It's funny
sauna
when
culture.
Ben was getting up to walk away from the conversation, it looked like he was getting up to take his towel off because he's like holding his towel and it was very loose. And I was like, what the fuck's what's going on here? Yeah, there's a very. You know what's funny about this scene to me? It's so long. It's like 4 or 5.
It's so long.
It lasts longer than it needs.
So many panels of them in a sauna with wearing towels,
and all they're doing is talking about what we should call our paper.
And they're like, "What? Let's talk about the newspaper."
Yeah,
man, that was funny. I loved that one.
I did. This is what I was saving my daddy comment for. The sauna.
Jonah.
Oh, Jonah. Yeah, I mean, yeah. We talked about how he's the daddy
who's
figure.
Looking like a daddy?
Does he need a Hitler mustache?
Jonah's for sure daddy. Ben's like a
why didn't they just like
polar bear daddy?
You have the opportunity. Like he's still got the brush haircut for fuck's sake. Like
you have to have
just
a
give him
Hitler
a magnum. Give him a magnum PI or something.
Yeah.
Like what are you doing?
Like because the movies had that, right? He had like a legit mustache, not like this weird ass like.
No, he had the little
thing.
It's not a Chaplin, guys. Past the 40s, it's a Hitler mustache. It stopped being a Chaplin mustache.
It's a Michael Jordan mustache.
Did he not have
I guess he took it back. It is the Michael Jordan mustache.
He took it back.
He did. We took that back. Yeah, I can see J. Jonah's a little bit of a. I can see a little daddy there with J. I mean, what a jawline on J.
You kidding me?
Yeah, what a jawline on that man. And then we get our first Shocker interaction, which I thought was funny.
Wait, do I have that out? I do have that in order.
Yeah. And Shocker also, going back to costume design, also has a very kind of real world based. I mean, it's like a bomb squad outfit. That
it's very padded.
Like, it's like
it looks like he's wearing protective gear, so his own weapons don't hurt him. It's not like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it looks like a bomb squad. What was that Jeremy Renner movie where he's the bomb dude in Iraq?
Yeah, it does look like that.
It looks like that suit, kind of. I forgot. It's not Zero Dark 30 is the other Iraq movie.
I just said it's the Hurt Locker.
The Hurt Locker. There it is. The Hurt Locker.
I actually love these interactions, and I know we mentioned
The
earlier,
second
but, like,
one, I legitimately.
the second
laughed
one's
at
fantastic.
when he
but
got
I
him
mean,
again.
the first one's fun.
great.
Like they're
Yeah.
having a legitimate conversation. He's like, I didn't want to do this, but I'm just desperate. But there's always another way, right? So I want to thank you for what you've done here for me today, for stopping me. I owe you. And he's like, sure, anytime, mister. Just call me this shit. Just blast him. And then it's like, but the second one, you're just like, well, surely Peter just learned from this first mistake.
Well, because the second time he does capture him and he's doing his job, but then it's just, he still gets him.
I mean, and I like Peter being like new, like year one Spider-Man, but also, no offense, but like being a father, you're like extra gullible, like weird, like, you know what I mean? Like he's just, like, I don't know, it just like the adorable nature of that just makes so much sense to me. It's not even funny.
And then Peter, I want to make a point because Peter now is the part that we already kind of talked about when he confronts his daughter who finds him as Spider-Man and talks about the suit.
Mm-hmm.
Peter is eating ice cream and his suit kind of slithers off, right? And it like dissolves into the air, and the sphere did a similar thing. And I gotta say, this is Prometheus tech.
Yeah,
this is
like
what the
wildly...
progenitors or the engineers, whatever they're called in Prometheus, they have those black like DNA strand technologies that create the aliens and xenomorph. I think this is a shared universe.
It's funny. I don't think it's a shared universe. That's
I think
ridiculous.
Ridley Scott,
However,
I think the alien Prometheus is a shared universe with the Ultimate, because
it's funny you brought that up in this capacity. The suit being like technology based and not, cloth that he puts on his body is interesting initially, and he kind of takes it for granted, obviously. And then Harry like unmasks him against his will, like very quickly, in this series. And I'm just like, interesting. I wonder how fast we're going to change from like, I'm getting rid of this technology because it's like it'll make me vulnerable to that kind of interaction versus like, I guarantee at some point he's just going to be like, and I'm wearing a normal suit, because like I don't see that lasting very long without.
Well, I hope. Well, because we're only going to issue 6, but in issue 7, it is revealed that it has AI in it, and Octavius is like on Harry's payroll, and he's like, "What personality do you want your suit to have?" And Peter just picks himself, so he's constantly like, the suit has
just
become
talking
like one
to
of my favorite
himself.
characters, because it's just Peter, and they're just like.
I can't
see
that's so fun. I can't like that makes me want to read issue 7. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's a good twist, because in historically Spider-Man's always talking to himself and joking and stuff, so that now he just literally is talking to himself with his suit. It's kind of a good twist.
Yeah,
criticism.
I always enjoyed that about the Tom Holland movies with the Friday or whatever. I don't even know what AI he's got in the suit, but the female voice that he's talking to.
It's not
no, it's not Jarvis.
Female Lady Jarvis. Jarva?
It's not Lady Jarvis. I don't know what.
Quick criticism of Peter. He arrives home, unmasks, eats ice cream in his suit, is then surprised when is walked in on eating ice cream in his suit. Like, bro, take it off.
I mean,
especially if
his defense,
like you share that home with 3
my children
people,
do not leave the room once they're asleep. He gets Cindy Lou Who'd by May. And then she's like, "Hey, Dad, oh my God!" And then he's like, "I'm sorry, I scared you." And I do love he's like, "Can we just keep this our little secret for right now? I don't know how to tell your mom right now or your brother, and I don't want them to know, and I don't want to worry them, and blah, blah, blah." And she says, "Maybe." And he's like, "Can I bribe you with some ice cream?" And I was like, that's just an adorable little like parent dumb thing that I just loved that was thrown in there. That's all.
Isn't that a crazy thing how old is she? Like 8? Isn't that like a crazy
Not
thing
even
to be like,
she's probably like,
keep this a secret?
She seems younger than 8, but yeah.
She's 4 to 6. She's 4 to 6.
That's a crazy amount of stress and pressure he just put on his 6-year-old daughter. Be like, don't tell your mom or your brother.
Well, and she in fact immediately tells them in the next issue. She already
she doesn't say anything for like 4 months.
Yeah, it's like 3 issues later. It's like
4 months.
Later.
Oh, well, I just read it. I was just binge reading it, so it just felt like right away. But yeah, she doesn't keep it.
First of all, not crazy at all. If I was secretly a superhero and then like Violet caught me, I'd be like, "Don't tell your mom." Like I'm not. I haven't figured out how to tell her. Don't tell your mom. She'd be like, "Okay."
Yeah, and that's
right.
a cute scene, and she finds out. Patrick, so next week we get like a Fisk scene just being evil and stuff. Is there a reason why all the Maker Council people are missing their left eye? Do they explain that?
Bullseye said something about it.
I think it's specific to Braddock. I think they each have like a territory, and I think Bullseye falls underneath Braddock's territory, and I think Braddock is the one that lost.
Braddock is the one who removes eyes. Okay,
and then I think he lost.
No, so one of them lost. No, they all. Bullseye even says it out loud. He says something like, "Our boss lost his eye, and we all cut out an eye in solidarity. That's who you're dealing with." Like when he's talking to Green Goblin, he's captured.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he's like, okay. That's who you're dealing with. This is my level of dedication, kind of thing. Like,
Oh, the Maker lost an eye. So
I was gonna say, I was like, I think it's beyond Braddock. And also, is that Black Tom?
Who?
Because it's not. Is it Brian?
I'm pretty sure it's Brian. Maybe
is
not.
Is it Brian? I mean, like, I do know it's Black Tom with the long hair and the beard. But I mean, it's an Ultimate Universe, so I don't know.
It's Colossus and Magic are like the Soviet Union, and they're both bad. So like, it's not like there's enough heroes that are now. And like
Brian
Sunfire
always has like blonde hair,
Yeah.
Like Brian and Betsy are like twins.
Okay, so this dude has to be Jamie Braddock because I just Google imaged him and he's got a goatee and black hair.
Yeah. All right. So I don't know why I thought Black Tom. Obviously, I'm connecting something else, but like, I don't think it's Brian, right? Brian was a hero. He'd be one of the heroes that were like hidden or covered up or whatever, right?
I mean, he might still be evil, but I just mean hair, goatee wise. This looks like it's going to be Jamie Braddock.
I feel like it's Jamie, but I mean, like maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I just got the impression. I was like, I wonder if that's Brian. That would be weird. I was open to the idea. I was just like, I just assumed it was the other brother or whatever.
But like Sunfire, Colossus, and Magic are all evil in this universe.
Okay,
they're all bad guys. So I don't
what's
know.
That in the Ultimate X-Men comics?
I think I binged the Ultimate Invasion, which is the storyline that leads into this universe.
Okay.
And they were in it. And like the Hulk, like Bruce Banner is also bad. He's a bad guy.
Okay.
Zen Hulk is his name.
What? I mean, I do like the conversation with Jamie and or Brian Braddock, but only because he's just like, "What the fuck are you doing, Kingpin? Like, use the tool we gave you." I like that was a fun like, "Hey, you fucking stupid! Like, do this. Like, you got a guy just sitting right next to you. Like, that's why we gave you him. Like, go like have him do shit." Anyway, but it was cool. I do actually like. I really liked the page rather of Peter just like hanging out, being Spider-Man, and texting his wife, and just being like, "Hey, how the kids? Oh, good. All right, cool. All right, see you later." And like that was just
Mary
Jane. So real to me. Like
she's so reasonable though. She's so like to the point where it doesn't seem like she's a real person. I'm like, I mean, how are you just not like?
I kind of agree, but also not so much. Like that's not that weird. I mean, like I understand where you're coming from. Like, is it crazy that like this is happening? But like, if I talk to Lauren tomorrow and was like, "Hey, by the way, I also have super speed and I can do this now," she'd be like, "What the fuck?" And like she'd be mad maybe for not telling her right away, but like.
Would she not be mad that Violet knew for like 6 months and you swore Violet was super sweet?
Maybe. All I'm saying is like they are presented in this book as like, I don't know. I understood their relationship very well, I guess is what I'm saying. So like it didn't seem out of character to me.
Okay,
like,
guys, I have an answer.
They're very much like a cohesive unit that has like almost no problems kind of thing.
Yeah,
and like in that kind of scenario, no. I buy it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, so it's not Jamie Braddock. This Captain Britain is Henri Dugarry, a French nobleman descending from Louis XIV, wielder of both the Sword of Might and the Amulet of Right.
Of course.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's
Captain
like
Britain.
some deep cut, like Captain
Must
Britain lore
be.
or something like that. Because the Captain Britain lore gets kind of complicated, and I don't know a whole lot of it. Mostly just Excalibur from the 80s, you know?
Well, so apparently in this Ultimate Universe, there is no England or France. It's just different larger territories. So all of Europe is all of Europe. So the Captain Britain is this French dude who's Henri Dugarry. So it's neither Black Tom nor Jamie Braddock nor Brian.
Interesting. Because also when you said Braddock, I was like, did they even say that? I didn't get any of that. I just
he just said Monsieur Britain. Was
okay.
What he called.
Oh, the Monsieur should have been a context.
That should have been a clue.
That should have been a clue, Patrick, that he's this obscure French character.
Yeah.
A holder of the Ring of Might. Okay. Moving on. We get this is the second Shocker encounter, which I loved, where he does capture him. But then the Shocker talks about
very soundly beats him quick, like webs in the face, and then he like punches him in the stomach, and he's like, "Holy shit!" And he's like, "Sorry, I don't know how strong I am yet." And he's like, I actually kind of enjoyed that too, like just that interaction alone. He's like, "Whoa, sorry, buddy. Like I'm really strong. I don't really know how strong I am yet." And he's like, what would you do if you were in my shoes? Like talking about his sick wife who needs help or whatever. They just need money. And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I can't imagine what that must be. Wait a minute. Is that true?" I just love like he's just so false for it a second time. And it's so perfect.
Well, I think Spider-Man's reaction is just, "Oh no." Or what does he say? Like, or, "Oh no," or "Not again." He
goes, "Oh man, not again."
Not again. It was great.
Not again.
And then we get a shot of the Green Goblin kind of noticing this happening. So now we know that sort of Spider-Man's on his radar.
Yeah, which issue 5 is literally just like a whole flashback of like what the Green Goblin's been doing for the 5 months that Spider-Man's been running around.
All right, but let's go to issue 3. It's pretty action-packed. We've got a Bullseye encounter. So this is the panel where, that it just doesn't look like a mother and son.
What are you
saying? It's because she's
an older sister.
I think it's because she's just drawn so attractive. I think they like really want to hammer home that she's like a very attractive woman.
She's a model.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
She's a former model.
A former model is still an attractive human being. 10 years after their career is over as a model.
I get that. Someone can be attractive and look 35.
But like her hair is flawless. Her hair is amazing.
Her hair looks like web strands almost in certain parts.
Dude,
it's like wild.
When my wife turned 35, she didn't look 35, man. It's not that crazy. It's not that crazy.
No one here is talking about your wife, Joe. We're talking about
just saying people can look younger and be 35. It's not, especially if, and I know I just said this, but she was a model.
But also like
very attractive.
She is very good at managing stress, because if she's a solo entrepreneur with a like brand new business on top of her husband not coming home at all hours of the night, and she's got 2 kids that she's got to take care of, like how is she not just like frazzled?
Yeah, Peter's job is very ethereal. I don't understand. Well, like it's Patrick, gotta be. Does he do more than just be a photographer? Because like he's like talking about being at the office late. I'm like, why? You take pictures and you turn them in. They have to worry about printing. It's not like you're the one printing the papers.
2 points. One, we're taking it on his word that he takes pictures. I haven't seen him hold a camera in 6 issues. He's never held.
That's true. I haven't seen him hold a camera. Although they do reference the fact that the Spider-Man shots that are on the paper from at the Bugle are from him.
I'm just saying we're taking it on good faith that he's the photographer, because we never see him touch a camera.
We've got
and second, Patrick, to your point, it's easy to be chill as MJ when you're married to just a rock solid, awesome husband like Peter. Back in issue 1, she mentions, I want to highlight this because it's fucking unreal, but when Peter's having his little crisis of like, I don't know what I want to be, she just says like, "You're the greatest husband on earth and also an amazing father. Yeah. Whatever you need to feel better, I support 100." And it's like, what conversation is this? It's unreal.
Again, being a married man.
Is that how you and your wife talk? She just talks about what a rock solid parent and husband you are.
I mean, when we're not fighting, yeah.
Here it is. All right, I quote unquote. I know you, Peter Parker. You're an amazing husband and just as lights out as a father. But you've been walking around for years with this cloud hanging over you. You put a good face on it, but you're not satisfied with who you are. Do you know what you have to do? Blah, blah, blah. I support you. Like, what?
I really enjoyed that
this?
conversation specifically because her main concern is that whatever he's going through is going to affect them. And he's like, never in a million years. And she goes, go get it. You know,
Yeah,
and
but
like,
she doesn't
that's the
have
kind of
to,
thing
like,
that I
what
get.
is-
I get that.
What is this lights out as a man? And she's just masturbating him for
What's
no,
wrong
like,
with
it's just,
that?
what, first of all, and like,
Have you never been in a loving relationship?
and where his like, when do you hear him talk about how amazing she is? When does he compliment her? This is a one-way. This is a one-way street where she just lives to support him in his midlife crisis. I'm just not seeing what he brings to the table.
I'm kind of on Al's page because it's just like she is so amicable to fucking everything. She does not raise.
I mean,
her
she
voice
goes
at him.
out of her way to say, "You were amicable for me when I went through my crisis 2 years ago and started my own business and all this crap." She literally says that, and then she goes, "So I'm here to support you, and here's why: because you're awesome." And I'm willing to like risk it for you. That makes complete sense to me.
It just sounds like something her therapist told her, and she's just repeating what her therapist told her. Is what it sounds like to me. Like she's like.
Also, in terms of support, I think if MJ came to him and said, "I have these professional aspirations, help me out," it's different than Peter just like, "I feel like I should have more in my life." Vaguely.
That don't get me wrong, that was weird.
It's just
that part of it was weird. But
him going like, also,
it's not going to affect our marriage. It's not going to affect our lives. I just need to figure some shit out. I don't think that's like that crazy of a thing to ask.
It's going to affect their marriage and their lives that he's
one of them will die.
The Kingpin on a midnight
One of them will die.
Yeah, like it's definitely
they're gonna lose a child. Oh, by the way, they're setting that kid up to be a fucking villain, like so hard.
Richard, yeah.
What do you mean? Oh, you mean that lovely boy that I'm wrong to think is a tool and he's insufferable?
Totally fine, but they're setting. Yes, he is. They're setting it up to where he's going to fall short in his son's eyes at some point. Like you can feel it there already.
Well, MJ's definitely.
But that doesn't mean the kid's crazy.
Well, I mean, they're definitely setting up MJ's going to, instead of Gwen Stacy, MJ's going to
I could see that happening, yeah.
Definitely.
By the way, I know we're jumping to like the next issue or whatever. How dumb is it that Harry's dating Gwen?
Well, that's what's going to destroy Harry and Peter, because Peter and Gwen are going to get together after MJ dies.
Oh, there you go.
It's
a reversal.
I'm just saying that.
This is your new mom. It's Gwen. Like, you betrayed me. You betrayed me, father.
I mean, I'm telling you, like that they're setting that up. It's going to happen because Harry's
at any rate.
Harry's going to become
MJ and Richard leave.
Harry's going to get too engrossed with vengeance, and Gwen's not going to like that. She's going to drift towards Peter. Things are going to happen.
Maybe
I can see them.
We'll see.
That. I hope they don't, because it seems very predictable. But I can see them doing that. Yeah.
All right, but yeah. So he tries out different suits. Little Scarlet Spider hoodie.
I liked all these little montages. The little costume change montage was fun. With May, I liked the whole like just go have fun, Richard and MJ. Like I'm gonna just have some solid daddy-daughter time. Meanwhile, we're gonna go swing around the city because I'm Spider-Man. There's a little Iron Spider vibes, a little, I guess, Venom.
It's very Iron Spiders. It's Venom, and then it's Scarlet Spider, and then it's Iron Spider, and then it's the Freedom Foundation Spider-Man with the blue.
Well, yeah. Also, I'm getting like Superior Spider-Man from that. The Doc Ock one with the dark lenses.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's lacking all the red, but like, because it's all blue. It also reminded me of like that weird armored suit that he had in the 90s.
Yeah, but none of these are like exactly those.
Like, no, they're not exact.
Spider
it's
one
just
is sort of a different color palette. Why is what goggles that May's wearing? What goggles are those? She's wearing swim goggles.
Yeah, probably.
It's like, you know that scene in Big Daddy where he says you can dress how you want for the day, and he just dresses like nonsense. This is what Peter's daughter dresses like. It's just.
Well, she probably needs goggles.
Big Daddy reference was the last thing I thought was going to happen.
It was an Adam Sandler movie, but he lets the child dress himself, and he puts on like a raincoat and whatever banana shit. That's how May dress. It's Why are you wearing goggles?
I mean, my daughter puts on
because the wind
like that all the time.
They're swinging through the sky.
Because they're about to go swing.
This is not safe.
No, it doesn't look comfortable.
This is not safe for a child. You cannot tell your daughter, "Hang on to me," and then jump off a fucking building. Peter,
she's webbed on, buddy.
Could you imagine if May fell off and catch
2 days ago? How you? I don't agree.
He didn't get them a few days ago. He got them 3 months ago. Already 3 months.
Agree with. You cannot go web swinging with your daughter on your back. I do not agree with this.
I mean, agree to disagree.
You cannot do that. You cannot do this with your daughter.
I mean, again, having a daughter, I would absolutely do. Like 100%.
I would have a heart attack.
You're like my wife going like, don't let them run down the driveway.
Like, they can run down the drive. Well, first of all, no. Haven't you seen Pet Cemetery? They don't run down.
She's webbed on, buddy. He's got like a web backpack on. Like he's wearing like a baby chair, like backpack kid thing with his daughter in it.
You never had a backpack slip off your shoulders at an unexpected turn? Like you cannot.
Not made of spider
you don't
web.
Do this. You do not go web swinging with your minor daughter.
I mean, I
Just
guess.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, moving on.
Okay, again, agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree. You just don't do that.
All right, Jonah and Ben have a new building, and they've got a Pepe Sylvia board, and Peter comes by to be like, here's a plant.
I just want to bring up, this is such a boomer thing to do of like, we don't even have a newspaper name yet, but let's get fucking Office Space. Like, why sign a lease and get into that cost overhead?
Work from home, assholes.
Work remote.
Like, what do you do?
Like,
and they literally say, like, we're going to be all online. Like, they're not even, they don't need an office
They don't
space.
need it. And look, it's an entire floor. It's an entire floor of office space. These old geezers. It's such a boomer mentality. They've got the Charlie Day conspiracy wall
they got
already
the Pepe
up.
Sylvia conspiracy board. Yeah,
they've already got that up. This is such a boomer thing to do. Like, you don't need that office space.
I like that they're like, Peter's like, what is it? And they're like, oh, it's don't worry about that. We can't show you that because you work for the competitors. And he's like, seriously? And they're like, kinda. And he's like, oh, for fuck's sake. Like, what?
I feel like you guys are researching.
He's like, what do you want from me to let me like see what you're talking about?
And then after that, we finally get our Green Goblin Spider-Man meet cute as they're fighting Bullseye. I thought, Bullseye was charming.
Bullseye's great. He's a great character in every single
I thought he was great. I've always thought he was a great character. You know what's weird about Bullseye? I don't know if you guys feel this way. He terrifies me. Like, yeah. I don't know what it is with Bullseye. Maybe it's because like he originally like murdered somebody famously back in the day in comics, like killed Elektra, that kind of thing. But like obviously she came back, so who cares? But like, he's one of the only like villains that's like every time he's on the screen, I'm like, is someone gonna die? Like I don't know what, and maybe it's a lot of Ultimates comics actually help with that a lot, and also believes
I think it's
Bendis'
also
run on Daredevil.
Yeah, but also he's like Ultimate Hawkeye, where he could kill you with any object.
Jesus Christ! Like he always just terrifies me.
He could kill you with. So I think that leads to it too. Yeah.
And then like in this, he's got like augmented
playing cards. He's got the Gambit playing
skin.
Cards that he's.
That's another thing. They're like metallic-y and shiny, and I'm like, I don't understand what the playing cards thing is. Are those knives that he has playing cards printed on?
He's made metallic, sharp playing cards.
Yeah, but why?
Because I don't know, a Gambit reference?
The aesthetics.
Yeah, I guess.
He likes the aesthetics. They're very cool. They are very cool.
I do like how his costume has kind of sort of a military vibe with the...
Again, there's a really good Ultimates, old school Ultimates
I like how he has knee
vibe.
Pads. I don't know why. I just like that he has knee pads. Because, you don't know. You might land on your knees.
It does look like you could smash somebody in the face with that. He does. He smashes Green Goblin in the face with it. The very next page.
A knee injury is, debilitating.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with that.
I know. I've got a partially torn MCL.
Superheroes, you need to have helmets. You got to watch out for those concussions. You got to watch out for your knees, guys.
Yeah.
Flash is just running around without knee pads on. That's madness.
And you can see, to your helmet point, like if you look at some of these panels, you can see he's not just wearing a mask. There's kind of
it's got some structure to it, and also he's clearly missing an eye. So the glowing eye indicates like maybe he's got some sort of heads-up display inside there. That's like or I don't know, Iron Man style, kind of like can see still.
That's interesting.
The fight was pretty cool though.
It was cool, and I like how he was using his cards to take out all the construction equipment and then crash down and stuff. But you just can't, Spider-Man and Green Goblin working together. It's a lot it's a lot for one mercenary to handle. It's just too much.
Yeah, I mean, he does a pretty good job.
I think if he'd known from the outset they would both be there and working together, he probably could have figured it out. But I think he just wasn't able to adapt in time to really take him out. But I think he probably, if he had the time to set up, I think he could have done.
Well, he got cocky. He underestimated Peter's.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then that punch from Spider-Man.
Also, I like how Peter doesn't. They defeat him, and Harry's glider takes Bullseye away, and Peter's like, "Where is he going?" He's like, "Oh, he's just going where I take all the criminals." And then Peter asks no further questions.
Yeah, Peter's just like, "That sounds good to me."
What are you doing? Yeah. What are you going to do? Same thing as every day. What needs to be done? That's ominous. And
he goes to Peter. That just that sounds good.
He's like, so that's an interesting. Like before, he's like, well, what about the police? And he's like, the Fisk owns a large part of the police, and I can't trust them. Kind of thing. And you're just like, okay, but I don't think calling the police will help. Then what are you going to do? Same thing as every day. I'm just going to do whatever I need to do. What does that mean? Just let the glider take them. Don't worry about it. This is the same Spider-Man that got tricked by the Shocker twice in a row. So I mean,
he's a little gullible.
I get it. And I kind of enjoy that, actually, like his naivete, sort of like him kind of like just fucking around and not understanding what's happening, and it's happening too fast for him to like be like, wait a minute.
Another note, something I thought
maybe that shouldn't happen, but I love it. Yeah.
One thing I thought was really cool when he punches him. If you look at the next panel, like he punches him so hard he crashes through the earth. Like there's a drag
he's
mark
like scraping up ground. It's awesome. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like cool. He still doesn't know his own strength, and he doesn't know when to pull his punches, but clearly he lays him out on purpose, and I don't mind it. It was pretty awesome.
It'd be funny if he punches them and just his neck snaps and he dies. and the Green Goblin just looks at
Peter's just like, oh shit, I've never broken a law. Yeah. And it's like, you murdered a man. I'll help you cover it up.
That man. Yeah, he's dead. He was just a human in a suit, and you crushed his face in.
Yeah, he's fucked up. That guy's gone.
So something we mentioned earlier is that Harry kind of deactivates Peter's suit off of him. And sees just this random man that I guess he probably doesn't know who he is, but it's just, I'm Peter, and I'm Harry, and this is their meet cute. They finally meet Peter and Harry.
Well, one, it was incredibly alarming that the Green Goblin just turned off Peter's mask.
It was
on a whim. And I mean, and Peter thought that. He was like, "Oh God, I kind of thing." But then it was almost as alarming that Harry just immediately was like, "Hey, I'm Harry," and took his mask off. It wasn't like, "I'm demasking you to figure out who you are and then fuck you and then fly away." Like he was also just like, "Hey, thanks for helping me there. I didn't think I needed your help, but I did, and I appreciate it, kind of thing." And I was like, interesting.
Well, I also, I like that his first instinct is to invite him out for a drink. I think that's also adorable. But B, I think going back to that earlier idea of Peter's feeling that, I need to be more, I need to be a hero, I'm supposed to be Spider-Man. Maybe beyond this meta-human or not, kind of the maker took that out. Another part of this universe is maybe human connections are also supposed to be. And so they were supposed to be friends. Because they've always been friends, that kind of thing. So I think that is a little bit at play here as well.
Sure, probably.
They have a not like a romantic connection, but like
a
friend connection that they just kind of naturally feel. And so that's issue 3. Issue 4. I've got a lot to say about issue 4. I'm just gonna start. Like, I'm just gonna go in on this.
Just go from start to finish. Go.
And MJ dress. I don't know how to say this in a non-racist way. They dress like mob-adjacent New Money Eastern Europeans or something. Like they're extras in a John Wick. Like they're at the John Wick club that he's about to shoot up. That's not the way a real adult should dress to go out. She's wearing platform heels. Why is she in platform heels as an adult?
I have strong feelings about all of the art in the next 2 issues, most of which aren't good.
Right. Well,
that being said, it was serviceable, and I was okay with it. It was just one of those things where I was like, "Wow, you're like a shade and a half below where you."
Yeah.
Should
Well,
be.
so we mentioned Checchetto, who did the other issues, isn't on this. I think issue 4 and 5, right, are Messina.
Yeah.
The other artist we mentioned, who again is fine. I'm not as big a fan of his art, but it's fine. It's very
again, it's serviceable art. It's not bad. It's just not great.
It feels almost like an Archie comic art. I don't know how to describe. It's just it's heavy outline lines.
Yeah.
Heavy ink lines.
And the ink lines, for some reason, in MJ's hair specifically, it drives me.
Yes.
I'm like, what is going on in her hair? It's like it looks like she has cheetah spots.
It looks like she has maple syrup dripped over her hair. It's liquid.
Like it makes no sense. I'm like, I don't understand it. Also, like on the first artist's artwork, the kids have like light, like very gingery, reddish orange hair, and she has like dark red, like completely not real shade of hair color. And I was like, yeah, that's normal. And then like my kid's hair isn't the same as me or Lauren. It's a very light shade of brown. Like it does. You'd always be like, well, is that just good?
So, but point
it just makes no sense. And this is like, I don't know. It just takes it to a whole other level. And I'm like, fuck, man.
Yeah, but without really talking about the art, I just wanted to make the point that this is not how 30-year-old parents should dress. MJ's wearing a choker too.
That's about the art, man. That's the artist making choices on their like wardrobe and stuff. And I'm like, it's not good.
He's wearing a black silk shirt. What are we doing? This is a dinner.
He's wearing a dark blue shirt.
This is a dinner.
What are you talking about?
I don't like any of this.
The choker is insane. The choker, like, I don't understand.
The choker makes no sense. The pop, she's got a popped collar. Like, she's wearing, like, tights and a business suit.
She looks like she's at a Halloween party or some shit. Like, she's dressing. It looks like she's dressing as someone. I don't understand it. In contrast, Harry looks great with the 3-piece suit on. I know that it's the green tie is the Green Goblin, wink, wink, but I think it works great with that light gray. Gwen also dressed like an adult. I like that husband and wife are kind of matching with the gray suits. I think the two of them dress great and they dress like adults. Just wanted to bring that up as a good contrast to whatever the fuck Pete and MJ are doing. You don't show up to a dinner party like that. And especially after Harry and Gwen show up, I would be embarrassed to be Peter and MJ at the same table as them. That's all I wanted to say. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay.
Platform heels, guys. What are we doing?
Again, that's the artist making choices that I don't agree with. They're not real people. It's the person drawing them.
MJ, she's dressed like the goth girl from The Faculty or some shit.
Yeah,
that's not
a choker.
Very 90s. There's a lot of 90s going on.
Yeah. But okay, so they have a dinner. Harry and Gwen are a lot at this dinner, and MJ makes that comment later, but it's true. They come on real heavy.
I mean, they were, yeah.
at this.
I think it's typical 1%er shit though. Like they're not real people. They don't know how to talk to people.
She even says in the bathroom with like MJ, like Gwen's like, "I'm sorry, am I coming on too strong? Because I have a tendency to do that kind of thing because I'm a CEO I'm a very, very important person."
So another art note I wanted to make. Peter and Harry are like drinking wine and talking or whatever. Throughout this dinner, we just get shots of Gwen and MJ shoving shit in their mouth and sucking on their fingers. And
I know.
Weird, like almost erotic looks to MJ and Gwen. And meanwhile, Peter and Harry are like just talking. I don't understand.
That's not necessarily true. Look at Peter here. What's he doing there? Just shoving a spoon in his mouth? I'm just saying.
That's true. I take that back. There is one shot of Peter eating. I take it back. Yeah, he is eating. But we get way more shots of the girls just sucking on fingers and shoving stuff in their mouth. Just wanted to bring that up.
I mean, it's disturbing, and it happens a lot.
I
feel like they're all kind of like shoving shit into their mouths the whole conversation. Yeah. There's a lot of, as Patty was saying, that this artist really likes to show reflections.
He does.
There's a lot of reflections
in eyeglasses, in wine glasses, and
just anything that reflects.
Yeah. Any surface that could have a reflection will have a reflection.
Well, even now, when the image you have pulled up, it's like a reflection of Pete and MJ in the glass, but they're sitting down, but it looks like they're standing up, like leaving the table. Like
that doesn't make any sense. It's like you drew a full page or panel of them standing, and then you like you used it later on as the reflection, and just none of it doesn't like even match like what's going on currently. Is that an actual panel from them earlier? I wonder. It's not.
I think so, but
it's not. So it makes even less sense. It's not like you're like reusing artwork and just like just use this artwork and just reflect it in the glass. Like it's just a new drawing, which makes no sense.
So insane.
And another thing. Well, also, and so they have this conversation where they find out that MJ runs a PR firm and all this stuff that Gwen brings up later. Yeah, Harry is sassy as fuck in this conversation too. At any attempt that MJ or Peter make to have a real conversation with him, he's just sass.
It's
jokes on jokes. I mean, he's got real energy.
He's a bit of a downer as well. They're like, "You have kids?" He's like, "What kind of person be a child into this world?"
Yeah, that was that was a heavy. I mean, he's right, but it's a heavy thing to bring up.
Mary Jane's like, "You're right. It's tough call either way."
Yeah.
Anyways.
And then the other point about this issue I want to make is we get little.
I feel like that was a direct attack on me, and how dare you?
But we get quick cuts to Ben and J. Jonah watching the kids, and they're just pounding beers on the couch in front of these kids. I love
this. Is funny, but also in that scene, they're talking about what MJ named the new paper, which is called The Paper.
The Paper, which is ironic because it's going to be an online-only publishing.
It's like, is it supposed to be ironic or something? And it's like, it's nice. And Ben's like, I think the word she used was meta. But then it just cuts to the little girl, May, sitting on the ground, and she goes, "Uncle Ben?" And he's like, "Yes, dear." And she goes, "Is he going to be leaving soon?"
Oh, yeah.
There was no setup for that at all. Like, I don't like her disliking Jonah. Why do I keep calling him Jonah? Jonah Jameson. Her disliking Jonah was like out of nowhere and made no sense. Like, he's been nothing but like fatherly to Peter this entire time. Like, I have no idea. Like, I get it. He's like a curmudgeon old man, and he's like
a curmudgeon.
He's the friend of your like grand uncle Ben or whatever. But like, he's like a father to Peter. Like, I just don't understand where this little girl's like, "Hey, cool conversation you guys are having over there, but when the fuck is that old man leaving? Because I don't like him."
Maybe
just like, Jesus Christ.
Maybe she finds
a little setup there.
Yeah, maybe she just finds his Michael Jordan mustache disconcerting.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's probably just the Michael Jordan mustache.
No, but it is funny that she just finds him himself.
Just but it's so out of left field. Like it's not like there's no build up to that whatsoever. Like as far as the reader's concerned, we have no knowledge of them interacting yet whatsoever, and it's just like this is all we get. And then it's just like, hey, can he get the fuck out? Like I don't like him. And you're like, okay, well, that was weird. And then they don't go back to it. It's just like, and she's asleep. Like it's just like, what the fuck? The brother's like, she really doesn't like Mr. Jameson, does she? And he's like, in fairness,
he's an asshole. Yeah.
She's not the only person on that plane or something. Whatever.
God, anyway, that fucking Richard, man, I can't. He's just too precocious and like old for. I just don't.
He's an adult in like a child's body.
What are you talking about?
Everybody should read a lot. Oh, the world. We should all read. Like, fuck you, kid. You're 12. You don't know shit.
So he gets along with his old. He's an old soul. He gets along with.
Yeah, I don't like old soul. Yeah, I don't like any of that.
He feels like he's like a plant by the maker himself.
Do you see a little bit too much of yourself in him, Al?
No, I wasn't a know-it-all asshole.
You're not
as an adult, I'm a know-it-all asshole, but as a child, I wasn't. It's a late onset.
No one said asshole. That was you. That was all you.
I feel like I should comment on Gwen and MJ in the bathroom, but I just don't. I just don't know.
It's awkward because they do a lot of the ellipses for like silence, and Gwen says, "Can I ask you something?" And then like Mary Jane takes a long pause while she's putting her lipstick on, and she goes, "Sure, go right ahead."
Well, they have this kind of like lean in power businesswoman talk in the bathroom, of like, I can use your firm and business deals. Does this happen? Do we do this while we apply makeup in bathrooms? Do we have these conversations?
I don't know what they do in those bathrooms, but
I guess that's it.
I mean, powerful women with careers do. Sure. I buy it.
Gwen says, and on top of that, I clearly have opinions, so too much. And then Mary Jane just goes, I'm good. Like, that doesn't sound like a normal response to that question of being like, am I being too much? And for you to be like, I'm good. What does that mean? So I am being too much, but you're okay with it? But like,
well, but I think
you're being too much, but I'm all right.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's kind of, because this is like a business thing, they're relatively setting their status. I think it's her kind of negging her. Is like, yeah, you are too much, but I'm good with it because I'm a badass and I can take it. I think it is kind of a negging it, like to set her up as.
Well, I guess we don't really get to see Gwen Stacy, Mary Jane interact very often, do we? Because
no.
Oh, hey, you guys here? Whoa! Does this pass the Bechdel test? The Bechdel test. Does this pass the Bechdel test? The answer's probably no. We got it. Look at this.
Yeah, it does.
We got a Bechdel test winner right here.
Yeah, very solo conversation and other businesses that has nothing to do with them.
Yeah. They're just looking at how hot each other is and talking about business.
They are being very sexy, like the way that Gwen's like messing with her hair, and then MJ's got her cleavage hanging out while she's applying the lipstick, and it's very like The Craft or something. That choker's really throwing me off. I don't know why Mary Jane wore that.
I didn't even notice. I don't know why. I love that you guys keep bringing up the choker. I didn't even see it.
It is an insane thing for a grown woman to wear at a.
Do you know what it was? I looked at it, went, "This is not great art." And then I moved on. You guys are like, look what she's wearing. Platform heels and a choker. And I'm like, yeah, bad art. That's what I was saying.
What's funny, too, is so in the bathroom, they're talking about business and can I use your PR firm and this and that. And then we cut to the boys at the table and Harry's just drunk. Like, have you told your girlfriend yet that you're Spider-Man?
No, he's not drunk. I think he's just going like, he's like, what are you smiling at? And he goes, you. And he's like, you haven't told her yet, have you? And he goes, no, wait, you told Gwen? And he's like, yeah. How much? He's like, everything. He's like, what are you thinking? He's like, I'm thinking that I love my wife and we don't have secrets between us. And are you telling me you haven't told anyone? No one knows. He goes, and then just goes, my kid caught me in the costume. And you're just like, this is like a fucking adorable conversation, but also like, Harry's got a fucking point. It's been 4 months. You haven't talked to your wife about it yet. Like, I know we were like kind of joking about like the initial conversation they were having with like you need to figure shit out, like, and she sort of knows like what he's talking about, but not really, kind of thing. And then like, and fast forward 4 months, and you haven't been like, hey, I figured my shit out. There was like the one conversation they had at breakfast randomly when he's like, she's just like walking out the door, and she's like, hey, have you been working out? And he's like, sort of, haha. And you're just like, oh, you have Spider-Man powers, you fucking lunatic. Like, what the fuck? I don't know. It was just like, yeah, I'm on Harry's side. Dude, tell your wife,
I don't.
Like, what the fuck?
Okay, well, two things. So first of all, Peter
Yeah.
was already ripped and perfect before, like in issue 1 anyway.
Nonsense.
So
He had a dad
this
bod
idea
going.
that like, oh wow, suddenly you look.
No, they made a point like in the first page where he's putting his belt on, be like, he's got a little bit of overhang over his belt.
Yeah.
It's like barely minuscule.
Yeah, like 2 centimeters. The other point, I mean, I'm not a relationship therapist or anything, but I think holding deep-seated secrets from your spouse and never revealing them is pretty much the way to go. I think that's like the basis of most strong, lasting relationships.
Yeah.
And third thing, which is the biggest thing about this issue, Uncle Ben, move over. It's Harry Osborn who says, with great power comes great responsibility, which is the key Spider-Man line of all time. We all know by heart.
Yeah.
But in Ultimate Spider-Man, it's old Harry who tells Peter with great
I think
power
it's interesting about that also, and we touched on it earlier, but like him having chosen the powers, like based on this hole in his heart that he needed to fill. But he chose the Spider-Man powers. It wasn't like an accident that turned him into Spider-Man, and then he lost Ben, and that instilled in him a sense of responsibility with his powers. It was just like, he's already got a lot of responsibilities, I guess. Like, he's a family man, he's a wife and children, like, so like, and like that, I don't know, it's an interesting flip. However, I feel like if we're right and he does lose somebody, especially somebody in his immediate family, let alone Ben or somebody else, but like, I don't know, I think it's going to be an interesting dynamic of how he holds his own, I don't know, sanity in check, or guilt in check. Like after something happened, when and if something bad happens,
when it's definitely
him having chosen this path versus like being thrust upon him is an interesting. I hope they don't let that lie, I guess is what I'm getting at. Like if we're right and it goes down that path, like I feel like it will, but like if we're right and it goes down that path, it'd be interesting to see what that means in terms of like how he internalizes that and like what goes on with his character moving forward. And I don't know.
We'll see. I mean, I'm certainly not.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to read another second of this comic, but sure, we'll see what happens. I can Wikipedia it. All right, let's move on to issue 5. I mean, issue 4 is just after the dinner; it's kind of over. So let's move on to issue 5.
Issue 5 is all flashback, and we talked about it before, but it's all like it's what Harry's been going through while this has all been happening.
Before we get into the rest of it, I just want to say Mrs. Osborn is in open-toed platform heels. Just want to make that comment. This is a 1%er wife.
There's so many things to talk about this art in terms of good and or bad, and that's not one of them. Like, I don't know what we're doing right now.
I just brought it again. I don't want to bring it up negatively or as any sort of judgment. I just want to state that fact that Mrs. Osborn is an open-toed platform heels.
I do like that there's like a tiny bit of Tommy Lee Jones in this Norman Osborn, which is very reminiscent of like Dark Avengers back in the day.
He's got a very It's a very.
He's got a lot of Tommy Lee Jones in that face, and it reminds me of those old comics, and I'm like, I kind of like that.
And Thunderbolts too. that kind of
that era. That era of Norman Osborn. Yeah.
So I thought this was such a cool scene of, you can see as Norman is talking in the reflection, you see the kind of meteor laser on its way.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see the building blow. I thought it was a really cool scene. I mean, obviously tragic because someone's father and family is dying. But it was a really cool scene, I thought.
Clearly abusive and horrible father, and I was literally talking earlier about like as long as Harry's mentally okay, I feel like they'd be fine. And then like Patrick's like, oh yeah, he chooses the AI in his suit to be his dad. I'm like, and there we go.
Yeah,
like, and then there's the piece.
He probably
but
does
he's
that
not a
because
bad. This is just being an American father. Like, oh my,
no, he's a shitty father. He's
that's
a
what America.
piece of shit.
My memory is us playing catch, and he's like, "Be a fucking man, dude." That's just what good dads do. They shame their children into.
I think it speaks to Harry's. The last words the dad says is that my favorite memory of you is the day you finally started acting like a man, like an Osborn. The problem is it hasn't happened yet. We're all waiting for you, Harry. How long are you going to make us wait?
Piece of garbage.
And then he died.
You know what I'd love? I'd love to hear that man's voice in my head, all the time,
forever. Yeah,
as I had an AI helmet on.
I would take it as a sign if, as you're saying that piece of shit comment, a meteor kills you.
We're all waiting for you, Harry. How long are you going to make us wait? How much longer am I going to?
Yeah.
Like, oh, shit.
Again, I'm not a religious person, but I think that's a sign that maybe you're a piece of shit if you die.
But as a flashback to well, this is a flashback, but like in the context of the memorial service, when Harry brings up the story about him and his father having you're just like, oh, that's twisted and fucked up, like kind of thing. Like, oh, that makes that so much darker now.
And then I like how we just have this scene with a lawyer, and just for the lawyer to say like, yeah, you're rich and you'll have your company and you're rich. That's pretty much the content. And here's the car, here's the maker.
He's like, should I worry about this? He's like, nah, you're good.
No,
you're super
worry.
rich.
You'll be rich. He's just like, don't worry, you'll definitely be rich.
Don't worry about that. You got money. Money solves all the problems. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Also, the lawyer uses who instead of whom in one of his sentences. So I thought, as a lawyer, you should probably know better.
I've never used whom in my entire life. I don't know the difference, and I'll never learn it.
Also, if we can see, this lawyer's eyeglass reflections are just vague shapes. What's going on here?
That's not true. Look at the next page.
It's insane how many times.
Well, Harry's face. One of them, they're mostly vague shapes. There's only one where you see Harry's face. The rest are all vague shapes.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Let's just get more.
I love Wilson Fisk's power move to be like naked in the bath. It's just
sexy.
Like he's like, "Hey, come and meet me, Harry Osborn," and he's like, "And you're right on time. Do you know who I am?" And he's like, "I don't know, giant naked man in a bathtub."
So
what's going on right now?
Was that a bathtub or a pool? It's large. It's almost
matter?
Like a pool.
Does it matter?
But like, what the fuck is Fisk drinking? That's not champagne, right? What is that?
It's gotta be champagne, right?
It's not champagne. It's caramel.
Water.
It's caramel colored. Caramel colored.
Again, that's art problems.
What is that? Like a cream soda? What is that?
Yeah, he's drinking
what
cream
could that
soda.
Possibly be?
It's champagne.
It is not. Look at this. That is not champagne.
The viscosity looks like
flute.
Syrup.
It's supposed to be champagne.
Yeah, it's. Is there syrup soda? Is carbonated syrup a drink? That's what that looks like.
He just drinks syrup.
Well, he is a portly man. Maybe that's how he gains all that weight, is just carbonated syrup.
That's probably it.
Drinks.
That's probably it.
And that's Bullseye, right? In the background?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the Bullseye guy?
Yeah.
That is the Bullseye guy.
The Bullseye guy. Yeah, that's him.
And then we flip to them discovering all the Iron Man suits,
and we get Doc Ock. This is the first.
Which Doc Ock how many? We've read the Iron Wars. We know what happens when somebody that's not stable gets a hold of Iron Man technology. This is a bad move. This is bad.
You mean
the fact that Otto's like,
Octavius,
I haven't figured this out yet, and I don't know what to do. Like kind of thing. Like I can build suits, but not like to your specifications yet. And I'm just like, good. Good. Probably good.
And I do like how the middle Iron Man armor is basically the Ultimates.
Yeah. I mean, the
original
rest
Ultimate
are
Spider-Man.
kind of MCU inspired. It looks like, especially the one on the right.
Well, you got the one on the right. You've got the War Machine, like the all silver War Machine one.
Well, yeah, the first one from the movies.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just troubling that Doc Ock is so closely working with all this future tech. Is a little troubling.
Yeah, don't love it. It's recipes for a disaster. All right, so basically, Doc Ock comes downstairs, or like he calls Harry down, and he's like, "Hey, check this out. There was all these signatures. This is 2 days ago. This is now, and there's like a shitload of signatures with that technology and or AI, meaning like a lot of superheroes are waking up right now. So it's not just Spider-Man that's going through this. And Shocker. It's countless others all over the place."
One comment I wanted to make is, because this is such a 1% a rich person thing, but I like how sneaking into the vault, Harry is wearing like a sneaky turtleneck, and Gwen's also wearing pants and a black shirt. It's such a rich thing of like, oh, let's dress up as cat burglars for our little adventure. It's just such a rich thing to do.
What's interesting is he has a turtleneck on, and like 5 seconds later he doesn't. Oh, it's a different day. It's a different day.
It's a different day. It's definitely a different day.
My mistake.
I like how
silly of me.
Octavius is explaining like everything, all the data, and Gwen goes, Otto, and it's Dr. Octavius, and then Gwen goes, Otto, and then there's an ellipse of silence, and he goes, yes.
Yeah, you need to sign an NDA.
Yeah, I like how she's yeah, but I like how he said, well, I already have an NDA. And she goes, well, you need more. We need to stack up more NDAs for all this.
Yeah, he's like this. She's like, this is different. We need a specific thing to tell him to shut the fuck up. I do like the quick fight that he has with Shocker back in time, basically. And he's like, it's post the second interaction with Peter. And he's like, Shocker, tell me how you got this shit. And he's like, oh, I just went to some guy's house and he was dead and I took his shit kind of thing. And then he tries to hit him and he's like, was that supposed to hurt? And he's like, sorry, you don't understand. I've got a sick wife. He tries to do the whole thing over again. I thought that was hilarious. Anyway.
Unfortunately, Harry didn't fall for it.
No.
How did you like the Green Goblin? It felt a little gimmicky that Otto had to say like, well, because of the polymer paint, it looks green.
Yeah.
It just seemed weird.
Well, he just says you wanted a darker shade, like green.
But I mean, but it just seems a weird way for them to just like, oh, by chance,
be like, the reason you're so brightly colored is because we had to. Yeah, I guess it was like weirdly shoehorned in there. I guess.
But it is, because again, going back to my point from issue 1, like all of this is predicated on you have to be the Green Goblin. And so he gets to look green, but it's just a very flimsy. Sorry, your mask looks goblin-like, and it's just like randomly it has to be green because of the way the pigments attached to the polymer or whatever.
He asked for it to be green, right?
No, he said no. He said he wanted it to be a different color, but then the way it bonded to the armor, it looked green, and he's like, I can either make it brown or green, and so they said, well, green's fine.
I thought he just wanted it to be
he said you wanted it to be a darker shade of green, and he goes, but when I did that, it just looked brown. As in, I wanted to keep it green because that's what you asked for, but if I was going to make it darker, it started to look bad.
Okay, so but still, all of this is just to say that it's just a flimsy.
The point is, it was always going to be green.
Well, yeah, but that's just because it meta has to be the Green Goblin, and then it's just a flimsy excuse for it to look that way. Although I guess it's better than the like amazing Spider-Man movie version where it's just the Green Goblin is a disease you have that turns you into a literal goblin, which is like a stupid way to do it.
Again, if we had gotten like this is the worst issue for me because this is basically just like the Green Goblin origin story. I'm like, I didn't need any of it. You could have not had this issue at all. And I would have just been like, moving right along. Like, everything was set up fine. I did not need, like, this is what the Green Goblin's been doing for the last 4 months. Pointless to me. Other than that, he's just like, I guess it culminates in the fact that he's currently interrogating Bullseye and like find some shit out. So it sets up the next issue in that sense.
Yeah, and
that was like the only point of this episode to me.
Pretty much, because Bullseye gives good. Well, first of all, we find out that Bullseye has kind of implanted exoskeleton armor in his body, which comes back later.
Yeah.
And we get the point. I think this is where Bullseye reveals the thing about the Maker not having an eye, right? And in solidarity, we all get rid of an eye.
Yeah.
Is here. So yeah, we just get. It's basically just to set up that the Maker Council is scary and the Maker is scary, kind of. And and Bullseye just threatens Harry with a lot of sort of you don't know what pool you're swimming in, buddy, kind of thing. And
so issue 6 for me, I liked it. It was fine. I mean, we're back to the good art, so I'm happy. But then there's also like the whole impetus of the issue is that the fight's already happened, and Peter's having to discuss with Mary Jane and his son Richard that like why he's beat up, kind of thing. And I don't know. It felt kind of like anticlimactic because of that, kind of like
it was
you open with Peter being beat up, and then it's like yesterday, and you're like, well, I know he gets away and he gets beat up.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, I think
like,
that's
it kind of really took the last issue down for me. In that
I agree, and I think to your point, Joe, that's exactly it. There's really in the flashback fight pretty much no stakes because the next day Peter's just at home with his family. So I mean, he might, whatever,
probably
loses, might get away or whatever. But,
yeah.
But
no, I mean, it could have ended with
or whatever.
Why make that choice?
The only thing I can think of, and like the reason maybe as the writer Hickman would like chose to do it this way was to make the fight like a secondary element of the issue, and it's really about Peter coming clean with his wife and child,
which would have been fine.
Second
but
child.
like,
I don't think so. I think it's
that either.
I think Patrick. I think it's just over engineering. I think they're just
because if this had been linearly written and like the fight had happened and they barely got out, and then Peter woke up the next morning and was like, all right, let me sit down and talk to you guys about this, kind of thing. Like, I don't think that would have been a bad issue, per se.
I think
that it kind of took away from the fight, having the wake up the next morning scene first, like, kind of took it out of me for it, I guess. I don't know.
We are also back to our regularly scheduled artist, which is nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think if the main focal point of this issue was supposed to be him telling Mary Jane he's Spider-Man, the fact that he explained that he was supposed to be a superhero, an evil entity from another reality stopped him, and then Tony Stark got new technology involving time travel to give him his powers, and now he's got his powers, and he just fought the Kingpin, who is actually a member of the Illuminati, the most powerful people on the world, and I've now pissed them off. I feel like if Johnny was telling me that, I'd be like, so like, do we, like, you couldn't keep the secret from your fucking 8-year-old daughter. I'm pretty sure Kingpin's gonna figure it. Like, her reaction is just like, I totally get it. Like, you should have told me earlier. It's fine. We're gonna be fine.
Okay.
Everyone's fine.
Patrick, the details you're missing, Patrick, the details you're missing is that Peter is a great husband and just as lights out.
Well, that's what. There was no conflict. She didn't offer one iota of like being.
Because
like,
that's not why she's there. She's there to.
Well, she said, "Are you safe? But are we safe?" And he's like, "Yes, I believe so."
Yeah,
I believe
he just
so.
takes his word for it.
No one knows who isn't a friend. I plan to keep it that way. And speaking of, this has to be a family secret, so you guys can't tell anyone else ever. Okay? Your daughter lasted 4 months, and granted, she blurted something out at the kitchen table, but like, how many months is it before she blurts something out at school, or or at a bet? Come on, man, this is
there's the famous saying: if two people know a secret, it's no secret, right? I mean, so like, imagine if 4 people know it, like, you're done. That's not a
I can't. So you can. There's zero chance with the modern audience that you could set up a Peter Parker that is just turning into Spider-Man and hide it from NJ for any length of time. I'm glad that they got it out of the way, but you're like, I understand like where you guys are coming from. Like from a reader standpoint, I'm like, thank God that's done. Like I don't want to I don't want to do this for another 12 issues. Like that would again, it's like reading the origin story all over again. I don't want to read that.
Yeah.
So like,
well, I think
this does make it more interesting in that respect, but at the same time, like there are so many problems here, and it's not just it's Harry and Gwen that know too. You know, like so, like fuck, like you know, it's
but I think it goes back to when Harry was saying, "Well, of course I told Gwen, you know, she's my wife and I trust her." But I think it just goes back to they're just building up the whole having to hide identities from loved ones. They're like, we've done 80 years of that. Just for just don't worry about it.
So like
right
part
now,
of the dialogue there I can kind of like wipe aside and just go like, yeah, I mean, I get it. Like we're moving on, like, you know. But you're right, there is like a very small reaction there. I mean, even when they're by themselves and he's like, hey, all right, off to bed, kids, you know, kind of thing. We need to me and your mom need to talk, you know, kind of thing. And then basically the son's just like, hey, just please be careful. He's like, yeah, of course. Get the
fucking kid, man. I hate that kid.
So I'm afraid to ask, but how mad are you? And she says, Peter, I'm not mad. A lot of confusing stuff is suddenly making sense, but I'm not mad. I'm like, why are you not mad?
Because she's just there to support him and being Spider-Man.
Why are you not mad?
That's or not like at least like the least bit freaked out about what this means and what like there's fucking there's time travelers visiting you and fucking evil.
So I don't know.
Like, there's two things that came to my mind to rationalize this. One is it's just bad writing and they just want MJ there to just be supportive of Peter just because she's his love interest and that's it. Or B, back to the Harry comment I made earlier, it all just goes into this feeling of he's meant to be Spider-Man, she's meant to be his MJ. There's just this ethereal feeling of this is how it should be, and that's why there's no conflict because the world should be him as Spider-Man and her as MJ. Who knows?
Just like he had like something missing within him, like maybe she felt like something was missing.
Feeling of like this is fine. This is how the world should be. But I don't know if that's giving the writers too much credit or if it really is just they're just making a sexy lamppost.
I lean in that direction, which is why I'm more accepting of it, I think, than you guys. Like,
I guess
that's where I'm leaning, but like I understand where you're coming from.
My issue with it is like I guess maybe the bits with May were fun, her knowing and MJ not knowing. But if MJ's not going to have any type of reaction,
no, you're right. Pat, you're right.
If you're the writer, why not just tell her from the fucking get go? Like, I don't understand why they teased it for 6 issues and it was like, oh, it's not a big deal at all. Like,
no, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
I don't know, just to give him a little growth as a character with his daughter specifically.
I guess
that would be the.
But Joe, I do agree with Patrick. Like narratively, it just.
No,
weird.
On that level, it makes no sense. But I mean, like, what would you guys keep? So the thing I keep noticing is that like you're fixated on the MJ reaction, whereas like the daughter knowing early makes it. That's a growth, or that's a character growth within those two characters. It's not necessarily like he's in a multifamily unit. It's not just about his wife, I guess is what I'm saying. So like, I don't mind that like she knew first and like they found out later. I wasn't necessarily expecting a null reaction like she kind of gave him, or rather, really more accepting than nothing. You know, like, is it shocking that she accepted it? I guess yes, but like. If you go back on what I was saying about like maybe there's part of that character that also feels like something has been wrong or something like that, you know, kind of thing. It all sort of makes sense. I don't know. I don't hate and or like it. I see what you guys are saying. I also kind of buy what they're giving me. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all agreeing on the main point. It's just it bothers Joe less, but I think we all kind of agree on that.
I did in the fight itself. I thought it was so funny when
Spider-Man. I loved Spider-Man spider senses happening late. I laughed at when
after he doesn't even know how to react to it. Yeah, Yeah,
But,
he's like, hold on, it's something's wrong.
down,
He's like,
he
it's a
goes,
trap, and it's like already trap.
And after
But he
Green Goblin
throws
is
the
getting
cabinet.
hit, and he goes, watch out. After he's
Well, it's not just the lookout. It's he goes, what's wrong with you? Without his armor, that probably would have killed him. And he's like, that is the fucking idea. And I just like, you're fighting a supervillain. I know he doesn't know what a supervillain is. Like, I get all of that. Like, again, his naivete is so kind of like adorable. Like, because it's just like he's only been doing this for like a few months. So, like, he barely understands what's going on. But like, when the fucking cabinet hits Green Goblin, and he's just like, what's wrong with you, man? Like, that could have killed him if he's not wearing a suit of armor. And he's like, yeah, that's the point. I'm gonna kill you now. Like, I just thought that was hilarious.
I thought the whole fight, but I loved how it's like walls come down and then it's a trap, Harry. Then as Harry's getting hit by a desk, he goes, look out. I just love the delay reaction.
I know, it just like,
it was great.
Spider-Man, and then basically he's like, oh, I'll dive in and get my ass kicked. And he's like, any day now. The kind of thing, like getting his ass kicked.
And they reveal that
cool.
Kingpin has the same kind of like island,
nano to exoskeleton,
like Samoa
not
tattoos.
Exoskeleton.
Yeah,
internal.
They look like island tattoos, like what The Rock has or something.
Yeah, he's like The Rock from Moana. What's his character's name?
Yeah, Maui.
Maui. Yeah.
Also, it's not The Rock. It's Dwayne Johnson. He's not The Rock anymore.
Also, it's just Dwayne Johnson in real life. He also
it's Dwayne Johnson.
The Rock.
Yeah, but it's got a Pacific Islander tattoo-y kind of thing going on.
But he punches the Green Goblin so hard that it shatters his fucking Stark mask.
I did like when he did that.
Like, that's pretty unreal.
How Harry's reaction is just, oh god, like Harry's like, I'm about to die.
Immediately horrified and thinks he's about to die, like instantly.
Well, and Kingpin has a line. He goes, God, like, don't you understand the world you live in? Like, this is what you're swimming in right now, buddy. Like, did you think this was going to be a theme park?
That's the kind of shit that I'm like, all right, that's got me interested in this Ultimate Universe. Like, this whole, like, do you understand this, like, thing that we've created? Like, we're going to fucking destroy you guys, like, kind of thing. Like, you guys have no chance. I loved that. I thought it was really cool.
They just get out on the hoverboard. They just kind of escape, and
it blows. It blows. Well, I thought it was interesting because, like, initially they jump into the penthouse or whatever where Kingpin lives to fight him, and I was like, it's interesting that he jumped off the glider to like go in there, and then that's their only way out. I'm like, what are the chances of him like jumping off the glider? Like, never. Like,
but this is the new Green Goblin.
That was
also, can we talk about the glider's emissions? Look at that smoke coming out of it. That can't be sustainable. That looks like
that's not normal though, right?
Oh yeah,
it's
always had
damage.
That weird black smoke.
No, I don't. I think that wasn't happening the whole time.
No, if you look at previous issues, it has real dark black smoke coming out of it.
Does it? Okay. I'd have to look back.
It looks like those rolling coal videos where people like direct burn their gasoline in their pickup trucks and it just shoots out black smoke. Like
that's the clean burning energy of repulsor technology, sir.
I don't
agree.
I've got some questions on what fuel is powering that jetpack, but we can answer that another day.
Well, cutting back to, I guess, MJ and the family. The last lines are like
I'm sorry, Joe.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. What? They're wearing the same shirt, and I don't like that. They're wearing the same deep cut V-neck black shirt. By they, I mean
it's better than the clothing that they were wearing in the other issues not drawn by him. That's all I have to say.
I don't. So Peter and MJ, husband and wife, are wearing the same V-cut black T-shirt.
It's fucking weird that it's weird.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Because Harry and Gwen were matching in the last issue as well when they were on the little.
But matching is different. Like matching your colors is different than the same shirt.
It is the same shirt.
They're also their
wearing
jeans
the
are the
same
same color
light
too. They're
wash
like
jeans.
matching.
Yeah, the
Like if
same
he had
white
a belt
jeans.
with a big buckle on it, I'd be like, what the fuck's going on right now?
Yeah, look at this, audience on YouTube. You can see this. The same kind of light wash jeans and that
No, go to
V-neck
the
shirt.
next one where he's like, so, and he's putting his hands in his pockets. They're literally the same color.
Oh, look at that. It's the same. Can we see? I bet MJ's wearing black sneakers too. I bet she's all. Oh my God, she is. She's wearing high tops,
boots,
but she's wearing
God
black.
What's wrong with
I mean, they're high tops, but they're kind of black sneakers. They're wearing.
So they kind of have a cute little moment of him going like, "So, do you want to see the suit?" And she's like, "Yes, I most certainly do." And he's like, "What do you think?" And she's like, "I think this definitely works, Mr. Parker." I kind of like, and it'd be funny if she was like, "I don't like it, change it."
I know,
but since he already went through that with his daughter, I'm like, I actually kind of like that. She was just immediately like, "This is good." About his suit, like, does it bother you that he's got this like ethereal nanotech bullshit? Like, that's what I hate about the MCU. Like, everyone's suits just go like around their faces, and I'm like, oh my God, can we just take a mask off? Like,
no, but the MCU drives comic book narratives now because that's where the money is. So everything's built on the MCU back into comics.
Like, you can do this technology in a way that like made sense. Like, he could pull it off his face. It could just like pull from his face like a web or something would be interesting, and like suck to his hand or something.
Or it could just be a costume
or something. But I'm just saying, like, why the nanotech like splits off his face?
Because it's easier. Because it's lazier. It's easier, and you can if a bullet doesn't kill him, you can say it's the nanotech. It's just easier. He's got a nanotech suit.
I do like that she named him Spider-Man. That was kind of fun.
She does.
And also there was a bit like when he's like, anyway, Peter, let's go fight Kingpin. And he's like, can you not call me Peter in the like, what's the point of the fucking costumes if you're calling me Peter? And he's like, that's a good point. And then they discuss his code name, but like they don't talk about Peter's at all. And he's like, what do you want to call yourself? And he's like, I don't know. And I do like the little last line of like, oh, Peter, it isn't obvious you're Spider-Man. And I was like, that's kind of fucking cool. Like, in the grand scheme of things, is this overly convoluted introduction to a new Ultimate Universe? A little bit. But yeah, I'm here for more than half of it, which means I liked it, I guess, overall. No, I'm willing to keep going.
I agree. I mean, I do like that they reveal the Spider-Man thing at the end of the 6th issue. That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Another also not safe with your wife to just have her hang on as you swing.
Well, she's got no web harness on.
There's no webs. Yeah. She's just holding on, and that's not safe.
I mean,
I wouldn't want to do that.
Have you seen the movies? No.
It doesn't make it safe in any context. You can't just hold on to somebody.
They'll always catch her.
Also, the fucking Kingpin is after you, and you're flying around with Mary Jane on your back. Like,
yeah, and nothing, like no mask. Like, what are you? He literally said, "All of the cameras in this city feed to me." She's a well-known model. She's not some random girl on the street that's hard to identify. She's a well-known model.
Yeah, she's also the daughter-in-law of the guy who fucking owned the newspaper that Kingpin just took over and ousted like a few months ago.
Come on. Like, it's not that hard.
Well, but also it depends. Because, for example, it depends. Because, for example, New York boroughs, like the Queens Library isn't connected to the Brooklyn or Manhattan Library. So maybe the Kingpin doesn't have cameras in
the Kingpin definitely
Long Island City or something.
He definitely has he's got all the cameras. He literally said, I got all the cameras.
No, I agree. I do think I get that maybe they don't want Spider-Man being a secret from his family and all that, and like whatever. I get that. Mm-hmm. It just he's very fast and loose and free with all this. To me, this just screams that they're setting up MJ or someone's going to die, because he's just being way too loose with this stuff, and like everything's fun. We're all just having fun out here, and it just screams that something tragic will happen to somebody near him, because
it has to.
He's just being way too carefree.
That was like the whole thing in Across the Spider-Verse, was that every Spider-Man has to lose somebody important to them to be a Spider-Person. All of them have to.
So
no, they don't.
Well,
Didn't, at the end of the
lost
second,
May in the
didn't we learn
attack.
that you don't necessarily have to lose somebody? Isn't
No,
that what they're
didn't
trying to go against in the new one?
I don't think so. I think they literally all have lost somebody.
But but Miles has. Isn't that what they're?
He lost his
Yeah,
uncle.
but they're also implying that that's going to happen, and he also lost his uncle. Yeah. Who
Well,
was
yeah,
a villain,
but I thought
still,
the
he
end of it
lost
was
somebody.
that he's going to try to say, well, okay, whatever. We don't.
Well, he's gonna
Yeah,
try to
the
save
end
his
of the
dad, I
second
guess.
movie, and the third one has been inevitably delayed. But like the end of the second movie is that he's obviously going to like stop his father's death.
But I
Quite
Yeah,
thought he's
but
already
that's what
lost-
he's going to do.
He's already lost his uncle, though, right?
Yeah, but his
Like,
uncle's
that
a
was
criminal.
Yeah.
I mean, what we've all lost uncles, and he's a criminal. That's
Oh
fine.
my god.
I mean, that's fine. His uncle was not a good role model. He
So
was a
heartless,
criminal,
so heartless.
criminal
He was a
graffiti
good
artist.
he was a good role model. He taught him who to
sewer.
be a man.
They would hang out in the fucking sewer. Like, he's not a real.
Who doesn't
like
hang out in the sewer?
He's
That's
a ninja
super
turtle.
normal.
Lives in a graffiti haven in the sewer. Like he's a ninja turtle. That's not a role model. Get out of here.
I disagree. My love of pizza, for one, comes from that.
Okay, but anyway, that's a different Spider-Man property. Anyway,
in the sketches at the end of this book, by the way, like it's just 2 pages, but it shows like Peter and Spider-Man and MJ and the kids and like that kind of thing. And the next page is Green Goblin. But then there's a lot of side characters of like J. Jonah and Ben and stuff. But like there's a drawing in the sketches of Harry just screaming like he's lost something or somebody. I'll hold it up for you guys.
Oh.
And I'm just like, that's portentous. Like, just let me make sure I nail this emotion down for future story arcs. That's what would be going in on my brain if I was doing, an art piece or trying to figure out how a character looks. And you're just like, interesting. That's all I'm gonna. That's all I have to say about that.
What if they do a reverse where it's still Gwen who dies, but it's Spider-Man who drops her, and like he can't save her, and so that's why.
He doesn't get him in time. He doesn't get her in time, and then that.
Yeah,
like it's
Peter
the same kind of a scenario, but then Green Goblin's upset.
Yeah, and then so Harry's mad at Peter. What if they do that?
That would make sense to make him a villain against Spider-Man.
Yeah, or at least against Spider-Man, yeah.
Or what if Gwen drops Peter and Peter dies, and it's Gwen who dropped him,
and she becomes Spider-Gwen?
Yeah. What if they just change? What if they just change all sorts of stuff? What if Mary Jane drops J. Jonah?
There's also connecting variant covers of the 3 Ultimate Spider-Mans, and it's Peter and May and MJ as children, and then Miles and his family, and then and also current Peter. So I thought that's why I was like, is this not the normal Ultimate Peter Parker just never having been Spider-Man? Is that the idea here? But
Joe,
guys told me I was wrong. Yeah.
I just could not care less whether this is the old Ultimate Universe or a new one. Like if this is Earth 616 or Earth 653. I just could not care less about anything. What does it matter?
Because there's context there.
This is a reset world that none of it matters. The maker remade this world for whatever fucking reason.
If it's a reset of the normal Ultimate Universe, it has more weight to me. It makes more sense to me.
Why? Why does that matter? Joe, look at me in the eyes and explain to me why it matters, whether this made-up world is the same made-up world.
Kind of the exact same thing you've been going on the whole time. Like, if you don't know what these characters are, then what's the fucking point? So in my brain, I was like, oh, I thought this was like the regular Ultimate Universe having been changed. And now I'm seeing a different playing out of that same Ultimate Universe that I know and love. So it matters on that level.
Joe,
it is weird that they.
This is either a reset original Ultimate Universe or a reset different universe in which the characters are the same heroes they were. What is the matter? It's the same thing. Either way, it's the same thing.
Then what's the problem?
It's all just made up bullshit. There's no difference.
Recommendations.
No, Patrick was going to say so. Patrick was going to say something.
No, my only point was that it's weird branding wise that they went with Ultimates again. Like it does make it kind of confusing. They could have just named it something else, but they named it the Ultimate.
But if you rename it Ultimates, it makes more money because it's a known property.
Exactly. I guess so. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't think you all understand. Creative decisions are not driving these publications. I hope you understand that.
I'm aware.
I hope you understand. It is a money and branding that is driving everything going on here.
I hope you understand.
Great.
I hope
the money making machine that is comic books is at large. Yeah.
No, but we touched on it earlier with the MCU movies and the masks. Like, it's become a snake eating its own tail, where the comics that inspired the movies are now being inspired by the movies.
Not inspired by, forced into doing what the movies are
right,
doing.
but they're being now informed by the movies because those make money. I mean, it's become a Ouroboros ring of just it's a snake fucking its own ass. Yeah.
Its own ass.
And you're right up in there.
And you're right up in it. No, it's all up. You're all up in it.
I didn't just watch Heat last night, by the way.
No, sorry. Let me clarify for listeners who don't know. What we're saying is she had a great ass.
Great ass.
And
this is our shitty Al Pacino impressions.
All right. I think we're
my
done.
dick's on fire.
Recommendations, boys. Recommendations, boys.
I don't recommend. I mean, honestly, this was pretty bland.
You both talked at the same time.
Oh, you go first. Go first, Pat. You go.
I would recommend it because I think it's headed in the right direction. I don't know if I'd recommend it though to a newbie reader. You know, I feel like there is, to your point, there is a lot of convoluted kind of backstory with the multiverse to get through. But I guess most people are used to that because the MCU is all about the multiverse now. I don't know. But it would be a little bit confusing if this was my first comic book ever, being like, okay, I need to read like 25 Wikipedia pages to understand the very first issue. But overall, I like this Ultimate Universe. I've read a few of the other books as well, and I think it will kind of have a pretty good payoff. But it's hard to recommend these first 6 issues because it is just like a lot of expository slop. Yeah.
How far did you read?
I think I'm like on issue 9 of this on Ultimate Spider-Man.
Okay.
Did you get to the, speaking of movies, did you get to the Kraven the Hunter tie-in?
Not yet, no.
Is there Kraven the Hunter tie-in?
Yeah, because of course that movie came out at the end of last year, and so it's part of this comic. Yeah. Because movies define what the comics do.
Like,
100%. Really? Yeah. I am not kidding.
Wait, it's the same Kraven from the movie?
Well, I don't know. But the character Kraven the Hunter is in it because, of course, it's in a movie that came out, so it had to be in the comic.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also classically, Kraven needs to like be an early villain and get the fuck out of there relatively early on in a Spider-Man series. You know, you just gotta he's gotta wear the black suit, pretend to be Spider-Man, fight a Rat Man. And then
do shrooms, do a bunch of drugs,
do a bunch of drugs,
do drugs,
do a lot of drugs, and then die.
Fight a Rat Man.
All right, Al, what's your recommendation?
I don't really. I just, it's okay. Like, it was pretty fun. It's okay. I just, to recommend it to someone, I'd probably more recommend the original Ultimates run, the BMB run, over this probably.
Yeah.
And even just classic Spider-Man, like read some good Sinister Six, like 60s and 70s stuff. I think that's better probably than this.
Haven't we gone over that that's a bad idea?
Well, I don't know. I'm joking. My main thing is like, it's fine. It was just pretty bland. And I probably wouldn't go out of my way to say, oh, definitely read this. I don't know. It was just meh to me. So.
Oh, shoot. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of somewhere in the middle there, or I guess on the other spectrum of Patrick's in the middle. I'm on the other side. I don't know. I liked it. I liked it in the sense of like, this is an interesting take, and then the art was good for most of it. I don't love the fill-in artist, but like I don't know. I guess I just was like, this is kind of fun. Kind of enjoying reading it, and that's really at the end of the day what I look for in a comic book, especially with somebody like Spider-Man who's been around forever. And I guess like the idea that it would go back to square one made me want to like never go near this comic, and that's not what they're doing. So like that was interesting. So like, there's that. If it was like Ultimates Part 2 and it was just like Peter Parker gets bitten by a spider and he's in high school, I would have been like, no thanks, I'm out, like immediately. So this was at least an interesting take on that. It is extra convoluted. It's extra like there's a lot. I wouldn't recommend this to like a new reader, like Patrick said. But for somebody like me who's always been dipping in and out of Spider-Man over the years and has never really like fully been a Spider-Man fan, so to speak, in terms of like I've read it for X amount of issues and like just across decades. This was a kind of a fun read in terms of just being like, oh, it's interesting and fresh and it's different, and that's it. That was kind of it to me. I didn't like look. I guess I required less of it to be good than you did, kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, to me, this just felt, and I don't mean to demean the reference I'm going to make in any way, because I actually like this show. But to me, it's like Schitt's Creek or something. Like you just have it on the background and you watch 10 episodes and you laugh and enjoy it. But it's...
No, I get what you're saying.
That's what it is. Like you just kind of like watch it and it's fine. And it's
I mean, they've done a lot of crazy shit with Spider-Man over the last, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years that I have not really read. Maybe a lot of it's good. Maybe a lot of it's not. But none of it's been interesting enough for me to be like, I'm going to pick this up and read it. So, I mean, like that in and of itself says something. Like they're doing something different enough with this that's making me want to actually pick it up and read it. And they've done enough in the first 6 issues where I'm like, I kind of want to read at least a few more, at least 6 more, like kind of thing to see where it goes. But like, I think that's just kind of the Ultimate Universe in general, the new thing that they're doing that I kind of want to like know more about it. But like Spider-Man being the first one I read, kind of in. I'll want to read some more.
Yeah, I'm going to say something crazy. I would more recommend Kraven's Last Hunt than this. Because at least, and look, you remember, it's on record, I didn't like Kraven's Last Hunt. But at least that's just batshit and insane and of a time, whereas this is just like, this is an iPod 12. Like, okay, it's just a bland commercial offering that doesn't really offer anything creatively for me to have. So that's my take.
All right, so Al's a pass. Patty's lukewarm at best.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think
I kind of liked it.
If I was, like I said, like if I was with other comic book people, I'd be like, yeah, it's fun. It's a good concept that you're gonna understand. But if it's like a brand new person to comics, I wouldn't be like, you should start with Ultimate Spider-Man. Yeah, so I would recommend it.
Oh, really?
I guess I'll say if it's yes or no, I would say I would recommend.
Yeah, it's got to be yes or no. It's binary. Thumb up or thumb down.
It's binary. Yeah. All right. Well, that's 2 ups and 1 no. Okay.
Okay. We did it.
I think we won comics for the week, boys. I think we did it. I think we've done that.
Good journey, Couchers.